Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you who are listening to this on iTunes or even on YouTube at this point, you just missed 20 minutes of the hottest podcast action this side of a burning bridge. It is Friday, April the 21st, 2017. It is Technical Alpha, episode 6. Although if we keep this technical crap going, it could be episode 9 by the time we actually get the wheels turning on this bad boy. But I think we're good now. I think we're fresh. So just like I did the first time before we restarted this whole thing, I'm going to give a quick shout out to all the people giving us reviews on iTunes, pushing us up to almost 50 reviews in total now. Hopefully by the end of the next week we can hit 50. Then I'll feel good because I'll look at the number and go, But then I won't be satisfied till it's 100. I gotta see 100 and it just keeps going. Never ends. Mr. MaximusBlack.
Yeah.
Hit me up with the sound of ordering a fancy drink at Starbucks only to have them get the order wrong.
Well, welcome to Starbucks. How may I help you? Actually, it's, I'm not even gonna. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna
go. Welcome to Starbucks. How may I help you?
Yeah, I'll get a grande cinnamon dolce latte. Easy on the whipped cream, please.
All right, that is $127.46. Please drive through to the first window.
Here you go. Oh, thank you. Hey, there's 130. Keep the change.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wait. I said keep it easy on the fucking... What did I say again?
This was whipped cream, I think, maybe.
On the whipped cream! Fuck! You gave me extra! I totally forgot what I was even doing. God damn it, man.
The fucking Starbucks orders are like 4 minutes long. Oh my goodness.
I'm just failing all over the place today. It's just not my day.
Good effort. Hey, everything's
one
falling
job,
apart.
man. One job.
I'm looking shiny as
Show
hell
up.
today. You can see yourself in my forehead.
Oh.
It's that auto brightness on right now. I'm seeing if I leave everything on the webcam on auto, if it miraculously stops doing the weird flicker crap this week. So I'm starting to slowly give up the dream. Just Logitech, take the wheel. Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, SoundCloud, Patreon, just about everywhere you could possibly imagine. 1 or 2 times somebody found us on a curb next to a hobo, and then they gave him away because he needed it. And that's all right.
Also, shout-outs. I'm going to cut you off, bro, because I want to give some shout-outs here, and possibly by the end of this stream, the dream may happen. It may happen.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because we're close.
We are real close. So for those that didn't listen to last week's podcast, go do it because it was a really good podcast. But
Why haven't you yet?
We made a deal where we talked about DLC and I raged about DLC, and then we shamelessly made our own DLC where on Patreon, if we get to either 350 Patreons or we get to $3,500, whichever one comes first, we will release the 2-hour special. Adam, do you have that all edited up and ready to go?
Hell no, but I can do it in like 5 minutes, so it's not a big deal.
Okay, cool. Well, you ought to get that ready because we're at $3,408 and 301 Patreon. So shout outs to everybody that has been kicking this into high gear. I believe we might even get this by the end of this cast, but if not, go show some love. I know I shamelessly plugged the $1, and I think only 2 people did the actual dollar. The 2 $100 spots filled up.
Yeah.
All the other stuff. Also, if you're listening, one last plug before we get into the show. For those that have the Patreon where I do hit me up with that noise that you guys want, I emailed all the Patreons, so make sure that you guys check your inboxes and let me know what sounds you want to make because I'm going to be recording everything by end of the month, and I'll have all of those MP3 or WAV files sent out to you guys. So check your inboxes on Patreon and tell me what you want me to say. Continue forward.
Absolutely. Someday Patreon and all these other services will have an easier service for fulfillment. I haven't worked with the back end yet that actually makes that easy, but that's for now the easiest way. Like Jeff is saying, make sure you see that message, go and let him know what weird, vaguely sexual things you want him to say into a microphone for you, so you're cell phone goes off in the theater and everybody looks at you weird.
Vaguely.
Bluntly. Sorry, what was I thinking? Today we've got a handful of relatively thick, like a bowl of oatmeal topics this week. Despite the fact that this week was a relatively slow week for news in general for gaming, like the usual stuff. Pretty much nothing happened this week. However, we do have enough to run with here on some of the heavier topics.
I'm actually really excited about this week. Out of all the weeks we've had, these topics are actually probably, I think, the most interesting to me.
Oh, all right. Put the table down there, Panic. Easy there, killer. It's all good.
Well, I snuck some in because the episode that we had, when I read it, it was like a lot of the same stuff. So I kind of constructed the second half of the show today. That's all.
I wasn't sure if we wanted to talk about some of the stuff you put in here because I was like, we already kind of, but you know what? Whatever. YOLO.
And guys,
YOLO.
just so you know, it's a teaser for the second half. There's a word in there that I don't think Jeff will ever be able to say.
I already know what word that is.
It.
I can't. Yeah, I know.
I can't say it either, so don't feel so bad. It's all good. First up on today, we're going to be talking about something that whoever wrote this in originally called MOBA Madness. Sunday. Come on down and watch Faker make everyone look like a bunch of toddlers for only $9.99. Or $24.99, like we're going to be talking about later on in this podcast.
Or free 99.
Or free 90. Yes, that's true. Or free 99. So I have in mind, how did I write this down in my notes? What is a MOBA? I was like, why did I write down what is a MOBA in my notes?
Yeah.
I think the question what that was supposed to be is we wanted to talk a bit about, not literally what is a MOBA, because I think a lot of people most people understand what a MOBA is, but what is a MOBA now? Because so many quote-unquote MOBAs exist now, the genre has become diluted to the point where it's almost like, it's like when Jeff and I started playing
so generic,
Drop
it means
Zone.
nothing.
Yeah, so when we started playing Drop Zone, and people looked at it and was like, that's a MOBA, and I was like, probably not, because I can't possibly place this directly in alongside something like a League of Legends or a Dota. There's literally the only conceptual difference here is it's an isometric fucking view. Virtually everything else about it is pretty much different. So, what I guess we need to talk about, first of all, what do we each individually consider a MOBA to be? And then try and figure out, what's going on in the genre right now. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about the successes and the failures and stuff. Because I think that some of the games that have decided to use the MOBA as a badge for their game, like they actually put their game in that box, have kind of done themselves more harm than good by doing so, because their game didn't really fit that in general. So first of all, Mr. Black, when you wake up in the morning and you're struck with just the most important question in your life of what is a MOBA, it's the existential crisis moment that everybody has when they're drinking their coffee or their cinnamon dolce grande, suck your dick sideways Samuel, easy on the whipped cream, and they go overboard on it. What is your definition of a MOBA? What does that mean to you? What do you think of when you think MOBA?
I think a multiplayer online battle arena.
Wow. Easy there, killer. Don't
Well,
go
literally
every
multiplayer game where you
mean,
fight.
you know,
Every multiplayer game you fight someone.
I'm reading, I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm reading this topic today, and I'm going, well, where do you want to take this? Because it's literally what I just said. It's a multiplayer online battle arena. So really, I consider Drop Zone a MOBA. I consider League a MOBA. I consider Dota a MOBA. I consider Heroes of the Storm a MOBA, even though Heroes of the Storm doesn't even want to acknowledge itself as a MOBA. It wants to be called a brawler, which is just another fancy way of being called a MOBA, so they didn't compete with League of Legends, although they definitely do. They're just trying to say, hey, we're a totally different genre. We're a totally different game. I think anybody that comes out with a game and calls it a brawler is more of a cheeky way of trying to separate yourself from the generic MOBA pack, but at the end of the day, there should be like, you know, MOBAs, all the games, and then like sub-MOBAs, like kind of hybrid games. And like, you know, obviously a lot of these
betas.
Yeah, it's like there's a lot of these games that come out and they know they're a MOBA, but they try and do it a little differently so that they're not like every other MOBA, because let's be real, MOBAs are MOBAs, and at the end of the day, they all kind of feel the same. It's just what kind of difference does it have that stands out from all the other games? And the only one that I can really think of off the top of my, actually two of them, is Drop Zone, because it has that RTS element, and then that game that we played called Strife.
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 Battle Right, all those type of games.
That was kind of similar to Drop Zone in a way. But they're all MOBAs. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
But then where does the game like, say, Team Fortress 2 or all those other shooter games, because technically it's multiple players, you're online, and you're fighting each other. That's like, again, the genre definition is just like gotten so vague now. Would the older style arena shooters count? Quake and all of those, are those MOBAs now? Like,
so what was the first game to
least,
take the badge then? Was it Dota?
It was Dota when they came out on Warcraft
League
3. They called it like a MOBA.
Oh, okay, all right. I didn't know if it was adopted later or if it was like, yeah.
Like when Dota came out, oh yeah, we're a multiplayer online battle arena in Warcraft. I'm like, all right, cool. And then like it kind of grew out from there. But nowadays you have all these games coming out that are MOBAs. But one, are they like the spiritual MOBA like the original games, or because now that's just super generic. Almost every game can be called a MOBA now. At least,
well,
yeah,
I don't know about that. I mean, we're getting a little too technical here. I mean,
but
pretty much every game mode is a multiplaer online, battle arena.
Yeah, well, exactly. I think maybe that's a bit of a problem with the name MOBA itself, right? The acronym itself is a little.
They need to rebrand.
It doesn't actually pin down anything. They literally just call themselves a multiplayer online game. Like there's almost nothing, because an FPS team-based game could totally fall into that definition quite easily. So you have to apply it to something, and if you apply it to something, that's why I asked, what the first game was that used it, because whatever the first game was that used it, when they came up with that name to separate themselves from, like, say, an RTS, which is the derivative, it's a derivative of real-time strategy games. When they came up with that, whatever it is that that game was, which was Dota, as we've now just discussed, was what they envisioned to be a MOBA. So now that we got League of Legends that used it, and League and
Heroes
Dota,
of New Earth, Dota, too, all of these guys came
Heroes
out.
of New Earth, all that. Those are all very much. You can see how similar that shit is. We're talking in some cases. I don't want to say splitting hairs, it's so close, but if somebody who doesn't know the genre at all were to look at all of those games, aside from the graphics, they're going to say, yeah, that pretty much looks like the same game. We're going up 3 lanes, it's the objective of get to the other side and blow the other dude's shit up, and then that's the game, right? So when other games started coming out and applying MOBA to themselves, that started getting further and further away from that original vision of when the acronym had been, created. I think that's probably where the problem lies. And then, like we said earlier, in Panic, you'll probably remember the names of some of them more than I would, because I've been trying to think this whole time and can't remember. There's a couple that I can think of off the top, or not off the top, but I can think of just in memory that failed because they got labeled a MOBA. Which
there's
ones?
So many.
There was a pretty recent one that came out.
There were games that came out that were like more shooters and like arena shooters, but like, oh no, we're a MOBA. And one of the big ones was Gearbox with Battleborn. Like,
that's
Battleborn
the one I'm thinking
out,
of.
and that one just came out flat on its face. People were like going into it expecting like a MOBA, and we're like, no, this plays like an arena shooter. And the arena shooter guys were like, this is playing way too much like a MOBA. It's very confusing. And they didn't really execute either, and they just did themselves such a disservice. Paladins is in like a similar boat. They like came out as like, oh, we're a MOBA, but in a shooter format. And then they're like, oh no, we're like Overwatch. And, Overwatch again, at some point people are like, oh yeah, no, it's kind of like a MOBA arena shooter. But then Overwatch is like, no, we're more just like an arena shooter. But again, it kind of shows how like they're shooting themselves in the foot.
Battleborn considers itself a first-person shooter. They haven't marketed it as a MOBA.
They did for a long time, actually.
They did for a while, especially at PAX.
Yeah.
Really, because I never heard of that, and when I go and look them up, like even on their website, first-person shooter.
Oh, they had to fight the battle to
first-person
change
shooter.
public perception because they actually were in interviews and stuff. They were comparing themselves. They're like,
pushing
we're a
the MOBA
shooter,
stuff.
but we're a MOBA, and like they literally tried to tie the two together to the point where people were like saying MOBA, and then they realized, wait, that's actually not a good idea. Because people were starting to automatically associate it with League of Legends, which at the time was even more in public eye as being a shit pile. And then they started to backpedal like crazy. And okay, no, it's not. No, guys, whoa. It's not a MOBA. It's something else. And then they started changing their tune. So that kind of
I feel like a genre definition. Like a genre definition when it's actually physically causing like development problems or like just going out and like confusing everyone. I feel like that's like kind of a huge issue, especially when it's affecting, successes for even like big studios like Gearbox is, they do a lot of AAA and large title games, and for them, like one of their games is flop for a branding issue.
I'm just gonna go and say, like, I actually still don't know the point of what we're trying to get to here. I don't understand what we're trying to talk about, and I most certainly don't understand how Battleborn being, whether it's considered a MOBA or not, how that hurts the game in any massive way. What really hurts the game is the fact that the market is so saturated everywhere, whether it's a first-person shooter, whether it's a MOBA. Nobody's making RTSs flat out anymore. They just don't do that. But that's basically what Twitch is. That's basically what esports is. And I don't think it's necessarily the label MOBA or the label FPS. I mean, you look at a game like Paragon, which is a third-person MOBA, which some people consider a shooter. It's not the fact of the title. It's the amount of competition every game has got when it comes out. And if they don't get a community started, streamers playing the game, people excited, there's only so many personalities, so many pro players, and people just go where the money's at. So it's really hard to create something from scratch. I don't think the fact that we name it a MOBA or a brawler or a first-person shooter has really any bearing on the success of a game. If it's good, it's good. If there's enough buzz about it, there's enough buzz. Or if there's enough marketing dollars so they can just chuck it in your face till the end of time until eventually you play it, then maybe it can catch on enough where it can create some kind of traction. You've got a game like Smite that's kind of it's always got this. It's a small community, but it's a small big community, if that makes sense. And I think that at this point, no matter what game comes out, whether it's Paladins or Drop Zone or Paragon or Smite or any of these types of games, there's always these upper levels of esports or things that are popular on Twitch, and I don't care what you name it. It's a combination of luck, marketing dollars, and how good the game is. I don't think the genre really has anything to do with it, personally.
That sounds like one of the most ignorant things I think I've ever heard in my entire life, if I'm going to be completely honest with
I
you.
disagree, because I disagree with Jeff, because specifically, like Battleborn and Paladins, they went hard in the paint with marketing dollars. They had massive displays at conventions. They had marketing campaigns. I saw Battleborn on buses in the city while going to work. Like,
but
they were going hard.
Nobody
well,
played
that's
the
the
game.
thing. And reviewers when they were,
because it was a MOBA, or they were mistakenly. Oh, but dude,
well,
you said it was a MOBA.
Too.
No, it's not. Well,
Reviewers,
then we fail. What?
Reviewers, when they were reviewing the games, they actually said, we were expecting one thing based on all the publicized stuff, but we got a completely different game. Like, we got, it was a mediocre game, but on top of that, even reviewers were confused what they're supposed to be looking at, which in turn leads to poor sales. Like, personally, for me, I don't buy games until I see the reviews. I'm sure a lot of other people go the same way. Again, like, those games went heavy on the marketing dollars, and they did go heavy on a lot of the streamers initially, but as soon as the money went away, it was gone. Games like Drop Zone and others, they're marketing differently. They're not going heavy on marketing, but they're going more with the influencer routes, and they're doing other things, but the games themselves are actually good and more well-defined in what type of game they're selling themselves as. So there's less ambiguity in what they actually are.
People by nature work with association. It's how people work. That's why stereotypes exist. That's why people make knee-jerk reactions, make snap purchases decisions. All this shit is by association. If you put something in a box and you call it X, and somebody looks at that and thinks that they're getting X, and then in reality it's Y. That's a problem. It's a big problem, and it's a problem that will result in you losing sales. That's just simple marketing. That's simple. Any product, that's just how it goes. So if you, with Gearbox, if you have this problem where for the first half of all the marketing dollars you've been dumping into this game and all of the press coverage and all of the interviews and everything that you ever put out has been MOBA on your lips, and people start making the associations with Dota and League of Legends, which have positive and negative connotations that come with them, and then they see the gameplay and they see it and they say, yeah, I can kind of see this, but now you get put into this even smaller box where it's your League of Legends with guns. It's the same as a lot of people when they look at Fallout, the Fallout franchise, it's Skyrim with guns. And you as a publisher or as a developer, you have to spend time and money, regardless of whether it's somebody who is on Twitch as an influencer or if it's marketing dollars in advertising or otherwise. You have to be able to make sure that whatever the end user is taking in as what they think, what their impressions are of what they're going to be playing, that's your challenge. And so for Gearbox, their targeting was like Brett Hall trying to hit the broadside of a fucking barn. They were firing pucks left, right, and center. They hit an old woman out back shoveling horse shit, but they didn't get anywhere near the barn itself. And then when the game came out, people were confused. On top of that, it was a problem of the game also, unfortunately, not being some sort of second coming. It wasn't a 9 out of 10. It wasn't a 10 out of 10. It wasn't even really an 8 out of 10 for most people. It was like a 7, which is not something that's going to suddenly take off like a bat out of hell, even when you have good branding, good marketing, good recognition of what the hell you're even pushing in the first place. And so the reason why, to also answer another question that you had about why are we even talking about this is part of the problem. MOBA as a definition has gotten put on so many things that it's becoming confusing and it's becoming diluted. And so if we weren't going to call it a MOBA and more things have to happen, this is happening across the gaming world in general. Genres are getting harder to pin down on games. Everything has RPG elements. Everything has like a first-person shooter element. Everything's got driving mechanics to the point where they're all blending into this one fucking, like, magic bullet fucking party drink mixer, and everybody's got a different colored ring, but in reality, they're all a smoothie. Like, that's the problem. And with MOBAs, it's a big gun because the MOBA brand is attached to League of Legends and Dota 2. Those are huge fucking hitters, not just in esports, but in the gaming development world in general.
Branding.
Just as a brand. So, so in the future, guys, I guess my next question I would pose to you is the solution, like Jeff had touched on a little bit before, where people were just calling it a brawler instead to try and separate themselves. Like, I think Blizzard had the right idea with Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm had other issues where they just said, this is not a MOBA. This is something else.
It is.
But the problem with Blizzard's thing is that they were branding it differently, but in reality, it's totally a fucking MOBA. But you can apply that to other games that aren't in that situation. What would you then call it? Like, we already have established that MOBA is probably a pretty shit acronym to begin with. So if there was something else instead of multiplayer online battle arena, you know, what would you come up with if you're a developer and you were trying to separate yourself from the League and the Dota shit?
I mean, is that where we're at right now? We're trying to create genres? I mean, it's a MOBA. They're based off the juggernauts. You know why? Because they want a piece of the pie. They know that there's millions and millions of people out there. They know that there's millions of people that want to change. It's like Call of Duty. There's a lot of diehard Call of Duties that still buy 6 of them a year and play them religiously, but there's a lot of people that hate it. They're waiting for something else. They're tired of it. It's no different than League. It's no different than Dota.
They're effectively looking for alternatives.
They're looking for alternatives, and there's a reason why they market MOBA. That's why they slap MOBA on everything, because they know that the market is the biggest one out there, and they're trying to get a piece of it. Even if they get 5% of the MOBA market, they're fucking huge. So that's why they do it, and that's why the games are very similar to League and Dota and all these other ones. The reason why Battle.net Blizzard decided to call it a brawler is because they just didn't want to be compared to League of Legends. They wanted it to be more friendly. You can't talk to the opposing team. It's much more laid back. It's not as competitive. You level up like together as a team. It's not like one guy trying to be fucking faker.
Kumbayas of
You know,
MOBAs.
but it's a MOBA. It's literally a MOBA. And I don't think there's a problem with calling it what it is. And it's a MOBA. And all these games that we've said, whether it's Battleborn, whether it's Paragon, Drop Zone, League, Dota, Han, whatever, they're all MOBAs. There's no subgenre. There's no trying to come up with some fancy way to lie to your audience. I mean, they're just playing wolf. They're saying, "Hey, we're not a MOBA. We're not a MOBA, but we're a MOBA." They all want to be MOBAs. Just accept it and make a better game than League. And the thing is even if you don't make a better game than League, which most don't, let's be honest, they still got to go up against the juggernaut, and they're probably still not going to be as successful as they thought because everybody's attached to League of Legends. I don't know what else to add to it. It's one of those things. There's just a reason why League is massive. There's a reason why COD is massive. It's no different than other shooters coming out and go, well, we're not a shooter. Well, yeah, you are. You've got guns. You go around, you shoot and kill people. What are you gonna? You want to come up with a different genre just to to separate yourself from the bad Call of Duty people that cry online and call you every name under the book, and you're just trying to be something you're not? I mean, they all want a piece of it. There's a reason why. It's no different than the movies. Like, are you a horror movie or are you like a thriller suspense? You know, they try to come on. We know what you are. So I don't know what else to add.
Calling a duck.
Yeah, it's a duck.
I just want to call everything a game, man. Fuck breaking it down. Stop playing like you're something else. You're just a fucking video game, man.
We're all in one bucket.
Like at that, like just fuck it. Who gives a
Bucket
shit
of
about
life.
being specific? It's just a video game. Fuck it. What's that genre on the back? Oh, it's a video game. Perfect. Just what I was looking for. Ladies and gentlemen, Kickstarted games have had a hell of a fucking go. We have had more failures than successes by far on Kickstarter for games. Many of them haven't even made it off the show floor. They just literally, they get funded, they start in, somebody says, oh shit, we're in over our head, and then they shut it all down. And some people bow out gracefully and manage to still get everybody's money back and it goes smoothly, and other people just get wrecked. So
before we jump into this
go ahead.
super hard, before we jump into this super hard, how many games have you guys kickstarted personally, or have you kickstarted any? And if not, why?
Nope, none.
Give some people some context. None for Jeff.
Did I kickstart games? I've kickstarted things. I just don't know if I've kickstarted games. There were games that I have missed that I didn't even know were Kickstarters that I would have kickstarted, like Abduction, for example. I would have totally kickstarted that ages ago. But I don't think there's any that I can think of off the top of my head that were games. I've just kickstarted other stuff. What about you, Panic?
I've kickstarted a bunch actually. And I actually haven't had any of my games not delivered. Surprisingly, surprisingly,
batting 100 off Kickstarter.
Oh yeah,
I can
Divinity, Pillars of Eternity, Tides of Numenera.
I can think of
one. Yeah, there's that one that's not out yet, Jeff. It's coming.
Eventually, never coming out, but sure.
I hope. Yeah.
And I bet you kickstarted that one the most.
No, actually, I kickstarted what do you call it, Divinity and Tides of Numenera quite a bit. Not nearly as much. And all three of those games. What's it? Shadowrun and the Shadowrun games. There's actually a couple of studios that do surprisingly well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I've kickstarted a fair amount. I haven't actually gotten burned yet. Surprisingly.
Star Citizen.
That's yet.
Talk about that one
until
later,
they call it that it's over and the lead devs are like 104 years old and they're like, fuck it, guys, we can't do it.
I've played a bunch of Star Citizen, even though it's not officially out. You know, I've played the Dogfighter. I've used it, and I've enjoyed it so far. So I know it's still one of them pipe dream games, and there's a lot of vapor around it. The stuff that they have delivered so far has been pretty good. So from my perspective, I'm all right.
That right there.
I'm all right
with.
I'm all right with the
process.
process.
Somewhere in the planet.
I'm all right with the process.
One of those
Star
19
Citizen.
planets that they have that you can just seamlessly go on
Jeff,
to.
One of my top 10 games
it's pretty good.
was Free
It's
Space.
pretty good.
And
it's a fucking like $200 million Kickstarted game. It's pretty good. Should be fucking orgasmic. It should be like it should literally transcend gaming. It should just be like I can't.
Oh, I think it will.
can't even sleep. I can't even sleep without thinking about Star Citizen.
How much was, I mean, we talked about last week briefly how much, not to derail this completely, but how much like some of the most expensive games of all time development cost have been, and obviously the one that's the highest is Destiny, but a lot of that is marketing.
It's all
budget.
marketing. It's all marketing.
I don't know how much of that is marketing, but I'd love to know what the actual dev cost is so I could compare Destiny to Star Citizen directly, because to this point, the amount of marketing versus dev time to those two games, I would be intrigued with the comparison.
So Star Citizen is around 200 million, I think, right now. The reason why I actually don't have a problem with Star Citizen, usually, like Jeff, I would be in your camp for a lot of other things, and even for a lot of Kickstarter projects, especially when they're so far over the deadline, is they're pretty transparent. Like if you go onto the Star Citizen sites, they list out when their patches are coming on, and you get the full view of the internal dev pipeline. Like the only thing you're really not seeing is like the specific tickets they're working on, but they're like, these are the features that are coming in the next patch. This is the targeted date. If a date slides, it's listed there, and you know when it's going to slide, and they explain why it slides. All right, so they've been trying out the super transparent side.
I'm going to say one thing about Star Citizen, and then I'll pretty much shut up for the rest of this topic because I don't have much more to add to it. But Star Citizen is just like the mother or father that will just keep enabling his son or daughter to sit in the house at age 40 and do nothing. But he's a nice guy. But he's trying. You know, I saw him put out 2 resumes this week. It's okay. You can stay here rent-free. It's okay. Hey, he's giving me progress updates. He's really trying real hard. Come on. Stop with the madness. $200 million. The fucking guys up top are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It's just absolutely ludicrous. They're having cons. They're spending all this money having Star Citizen cons and all this other shit. They're doing more partying and more celebrating something that is nothing, really. And I've seen it. I bought into the hype for a while. I was excited about it. And then I realized, like 4 or 5 years in, we're just never going to get a game. They cashed out. It's the biggest scam ever in the history of kickstarting, whether you look at it or not. There's probably a lot of Star Citizen people listening to this right now that want to like show me all these stats and say, oh, but they're so transparent. They're telling us everything. Listen, you can't change my mind on this. I'm going to have a moment of silence for your money in a second. And that'll be the show. You know what they did? They basically, it's almost as if, for example,
you're calling it a Ponzi scheme.
Well, I yes and no. It's almost like I understand that they wanted to make something special, and I'm behind that. But here's the thing: it's almost like before Lucas sold his baby to Disney, and say somebody came and was like, "Guys, now all you need to do is just sell me Star Wars, and I'm going to make this. We're going to forget the prequels happen, and I'm going to make this the single greatest Star Wars you've ever seen." And you've got this hardcore Star Wars fan, and he's telling you everything that you want to hear. You know, it's almost like a religion, you know? If I'm going to go that deep, it's like you got somebody that is so into religion, and you tell them that this here is life-changing. This is your savior. This is whatever it is that you believe in. And, of course, they're so brainwashed and they're so into it, and they believe the message so much that they will give everything and anything to the cause because they're just so, I mean, you're playing to their heartstrings. Like, if somebody told me they're going to make the perfect Star Wars or the perfect, video game, the perfect StarCraft, I'm going to throw every fucking cent I got at the monitor. I'm going to say, take it all, just make the game, take your time, make it amazing. It's going to be worth it. and they just played on those heartstrings. And there's so many people out there that want to live a life outside of their own life. They want to go and travel the space and the universes, and they want to do all these crazy things, and they played to it, and they did it perfectly. They made ships cost thousands of dollars, and they fucking did all this stuff because they knew that nerds like us would just throw money at the screen and not think anything of it and say, take your time, and they cash in checks. It's a scam. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Nice huss. Nice huss.
I don't want to go. I don't want to go so
laugh.
far as call it a hustle. I think that might be a bit extreme.
So hard when it comes out.
Well,
just
it's
too.
gonna
It's
come.
like,
It's gonna
it
come
came
out.
out.
It's just gonna be like a 10-year fucking development, and by the time my concern isn't that it's not gonna come out. It's gonna come out. The problem that I have with it
It's
is
gonna
that
not
by
meet
the
the
time
hype.
it comes out, it's not. Well, it's not even that it's not gonna meet the hype. It's that everything that they have in the game as it stands right now is a mind fuck. Right? If you look at all the stuff they're putting in the game and the scope of this game, which is orders of magnitude beyond anything
It's
that currently
amazing.
exists,
It's
it's amazing.
amazing
It looks incredible. It plays well.
I agree.
Conceptually seeing how everything is going to come together will be absolutely nuts. But by the time this thing lands, the question I have is, will it really stand that far head and shoulders above the rest of the crowd to the point where it, makes up for $200+ million in dev costs and the 10 years it took to make the game? That's my concern. I am positive it's coming out. There's no two ways about it in my mind. It's going to happen. It's just whether or not even about the hype, like Pant was saying, just will it be above the waterline, where we are now? Because right now it's, like I said, so far beyond. But by the time it comes out, will it
Not
still
really,
be
because
so
we've
far
seen
beyond?
No Man's Sky and stuff like that, and that's a shitbox
that
in
game
itself.
was garbage.
But we've got glimpses of that, right? We've seen developers take things from Star Citizen, simplify it, and get the game out and sell a bajillion copies. And I'm right with Adam on this. I also believe the game will be released, but I think that the game, when it gets packaged and it's sent out, that the mystique behind it, the wow to it, will be so minimal that people will almost feel ripped off. They're gonna be like, I can't believe I paid as much as I did for this game. This is insane. And by that time, games like Destiny 2 and maybe Destiny 3, by the time that happens, maybe they have made such a crazy game that it becomes similar or even better or plays better than in some parts of Star Citizen.
Yeah, I think that this and what we're talking about right now in terms of what will happen when it actually hits market is a big thing, and actually why this topic exists, which is going to feed into a topic we have later on. Actually, right after this, we're gonna segue into it, so it all should work out relatively well. Is expectations versus reality with Kickstarted games. Some people see games like Mighty Number 9, for example, was probably one of the highest profile games that came in like just on fire, hit the ground on its back. And there was almost nothing left. It hit the ground and just evaporated. But I think in terms of expectations versus reality, some people see Kickstarter. They see the dollar amount. They'll see $1 million, $2 million, $3 million for a game, and they're like, "Holy shit, that is a lot of money." And then the majority of those people don't understand that is not much of a budget these days to work with. Even if you had a passion project where you had 4 people making a frickin' game right now, you're not putting a lot of money into a game at $2.5-3 million US. That's not a huge game. That is an above average high-end indie game is what you're getting for $3 million essentially. But people see, because often the most successful Kickstarters, this is my opinion, people see these well-known people, these people that are household names in a gaming world. They worked on X game, or they were in this development house. Half the time it's it's so loosely, like, sometimes it makes me laugh because it's such a loose association. It's like, this dude was the water boy for this company for like 3 weeks, and like, I'm gonna put this, like, worked at at Rare during this these times or whatever. And people see the name, whether it's a developer or a publisher or a game, and they go, wow, I loved that shit. And they automatically think that this game is going to be the greatest thing ever because the people that are involved with it. And then the game comes out,
not gonna lie,
and it's a
that's
small budget.
It's the only reason
go
I signed
ahead.
on for Star Citizen was Chris Roberts. Like, he's like the godfather of
Free
the space
space.
combat genre. Yeah,
Right?
and not even free space. Wing Commander,
Ring
Freelancer,
Commander,
he kind of, like,
yeah.
It's the only reason I went in on that. So, like, I completely see that being like a valid side.
Let's be real. You buy into the pitch. You're not really buying into the game because there's no game. You're gonna watch that 2 to 5 minute clip of them selling it. It's like a product, right? I've kickstarted many different products, not any games, but I've kickstarted some products and stuff like that. And you get behind the video, the inspirational music they have, the nostalgic heartstrings they pull on. The person, is he funny? Is he passionate? Do you believe in this person? And you get behind that. And I think what a lot of it in terms of expectations is a lot of the time is they overpromise and they make these grandiose like these they bite off.
They get excited too.
They get excited
too.
And it's about
They're
passion.
like, oh my
right?
god, we can do this finally.
Yeah, and so you're like, fuck yeah, man! I already wanted to throw money at you, but now you're promising this. I mean, oh my god, yeah, give me more. Instead of the 25 tier, let me get the $100 one, and I can get a signed copy of this, and it's going to be fantastic. And then when you get it, it's like, wow, there's a reason why this guy's an indie developer, and he doesn't work at a big, a AAA studio.
Yeah,
I set kind of personally for myself at least. I set some very like strict guidelines for if I'm going to kickstart a game, and Star Citizen kind of ended up breaking that because they got too successful. I only try to like go for like the cult style games that like have niche followings or were really popular at a time, but now big studios aren't picking them up. Like like the old style Baldur's Gate or like old style Neverwinter games.
Yeah,
those aren't money makers for studios. But those are awesome games. So I'm like, you see like the developers for those games coming out saying, hey, we want to make a game, but we can't really get a publisher. This is what we have in design, and they start showing stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm totally on board with that. So like that's why I went with like Divinity and like Pillars of Eternity, because they're like spiritual successors to games that were really good, and they're made by the same people. And then there's some other ones. What do you call it? And then Harebrained Schemes, they're like they do like strategy games and stuff. They don't really get big publishers because they're not huge title games, but like they brought back Shadowrun for like turn-based strategy. And they do all their games on Kickstarter, and I've kickstarted all of their games. And yeah, they're not incredible games. They're like B or C tier games, and they sell themselves as that, and they don't like oversell. They're like, this is the game you're going to get. Here's some footage of what you're getting. And then they more or less deliver on that, and they don't go crazy on like trying to rake in the money. And they're stretch, so I'm like, let me see what the stretch goals are. Are they trying to be too crazy, or are they going to stick with like this niche area, and they're not like trying to redefine a genre? They're just like, we just want to make a good game in like a genre that we did before, and that's what I stick with.
Yeah, and those are great to back up.
Yeah,
and that was, just before I segue, because I just had something else. Panic almost gave me a perfect segue, but I had to drop it for just a second which hurt me a little bit inside. But I'm gonna let that one go for a second, just to talk briefly about Abduction, because it was the first Kickstarter game that I had played where I had to check my expectations at the door after I started playing it. The guys, for those who don't know, so Abduction is a puzzle adventure game made by literally the same guys, because they're brothers, who made Myst and Riven, which were, until I think The Sims at one point, the highest selling PC franchise of all time. And that's like, we're talking back in the 90s, selling over 5 million copies of a PC game, which some people will understand how crazy of a feat that is, and then others might not. Just believe me when I say that's incredible, especially for a puzzle adventure game. again, this wasn't like a shooter or like a strategy game or anything. This is like one of those genres that at this day and age
originally made for like demonstrating CD-ROMs or something in PCs. That's why they did it the way they did, or something ridiculous.
Mist's whole life cycle is crazy, and it's been ported to literally everything, right? So anyway, when this came out, I didn't even know. Otherwise, I would have kickstarted it. But I started playing it. And after about the first 4 hours, I realized, it was the first time I realized, sat down and I said, even for a game like this, they only have so much to work with. And even if it's people with a high amount, huge pedigree coming in, you have to check your expectations at the door. And this is for a game that I consider to be fantastic. Abduction is awesome. Could it have been better? Sure. It would have taken them, the key thing here is it would have taken them more money, which you don't always get. Abduction needed things. I did a review for it. If you wanted my full thoughts on it, I've done a video review for it. But
yeah, let's not do a review.
No, I'm not going to review it. But because I've already done that. But but I had to check that at the door. This is guys who even came back afterwards and have added HTC Vive support, VR, everything. The game is great, but it's not something that if you stack up against Mr. Riven, you're going to immediately go, yeah, okay, this hangs out with Mist and Riven. It's an extraordinary puzzle adventure, but it doesn't quite do that. And this, I think, is what happened with a lot of people with, here's the segue, as Panic was just, with his whole thing, Yooka-Laylee, which is the most recent one to fall victim to what I believe is expectations versus reality in Kickstarter. Yooka-Laylee is made by the guys who did Banjo-Kazooie, which I think we've all, at some point when we were talking about games, at some point, we've talked about how Banjo-Kazooie we all think is really fucking good. Exactly. Banjo-Kazooie, one of the greatest 3D platformers of all time, incredibly funny. Everything was awesome about Banjo-Kazooie. Very little about it was something you could complain about. So people were excited when these guys came out and said, hey, we don't have the rights to Banjo-Kazooie. Tough shit. Microsoft owns Rare, and they buried them 87 feet in the ground years ago, but we're still here, and we would love to be able to recreate Banjo-Kazooie in, the new millennium. We would like to take that and give you guys some nostalgia and just paint it something that's not Banjo-Kazooie. Literally the same thing, except painted a different shade. And a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm totally down for that. That's awesome. Everybody kickstarted this thing. It comes out to a lot of hype going into this. Publications were, Banjo-Kazooie, rare this, rare that. Oh my goodness. It comes out and reviews are everywhere. You've got Jimquisition giving this bad boy a 2. You've got other publications giving it a 9. Again, and they're not like no-name, reviewers. These are all, reputable people that are all over the map. Like the chart for it's crazy. So the question then became, well, is it a good game or is it a shit game? Nobody knew what to think.
What happened?
What happened here? So Panic, did you get? I know Jeff didn't play Yooka-Laylee.
I haven't bought it myself, but I spent a couple of hours at a friend's place and I tried it out. It was, from a game, I'll let you go into it more because you played it more. But from my perspective, I felt like they stayed too retro in some areas, but in terms of like the controls and like the gameplay, it was good. But some of the actual content in the game was kind of poorly executed. So like I had a blast with running around the controls. The camera was actually not bad. It played out well for like as a baseline platformer. Solid game. I enjoyed it. But like some of the content, I was like, yeah, the game's funny, but like the one boss I played, it was really wasn't enjoyable. Yeah. So like I feel like it was more of I think game design wise it was fine, but content design wise it was kind of a miss. And then technology wise, it looked great and it played, beautiful, but like seriously, it's 2017. I think you could have done a bit more with the sounds. I know you were trying to be like nostalgic, but that one to me, it was just like, I'm like, this is getting really grating.
That was the biggest
nowadays.
thing for me. I was watching Adam play and I was like, wow, my nostalgia is just going crazy. It looks It looks fantastic.
Music was amazing,
it looks
too.
fun. Music is great. It's definitely got a good feel, but man, oh man, the voice acting or no voice acting, all those noises, whether you can turn it off or on, it is absolutely. I don't know what the fuck they were smoking over there when they decided to do that. If their excuse was we wanted to keep it like Banjo, they could have at least had 1 or 2 characters that were frequent that did that, or made nods to those things in certain areas, but the entire game and every character making these weird mumbling noises, it was absolutely atrocious. The game would never get my money for that specific reason. And I never played it. I know Adam did like 100% playthrough of this thing, so he'd be the, I'm sure he's going to have a review out on it, and I'll definitely listen to it when it comes out. But just by looking at it, like if there was no sound, I'd be sold on this thing. Like if I just watched the trailer and it was just music in the background and nobody was talking, I'd be like, oh my god, give me this.
Beautiful.
And it's like what, $40? Take my money, please, and I'm gonna get my fun out of it. But as soon as I heard those characters nonstop, it was just beyond annoying. And the thing is, and before I ship it over to Adam, because I'm sure he's got more to say, they made a lot of money off this Kickstarter. I mean, they had like over a million.
They could have voiced
$2 million.
Almost. It was like a little. It was, I think, because they were in pounds or something. So I think it's close to 3.
Yeah.
So I think it's close to 3 million.
No,
US.
2 million pounds would be almost 3.8.
Almost. Yeah, they wanted 175,000 pounds.
This is post Brexit. Remember, the pound is not what it used to be.
It's down. Yeah, it's down. But I mean, even still, I find what a lot of these Kickstarters are doing, especially guys like this. And the reason why the expectations were high and someone like Jim gave it a really bad score is because, listen, if you're the developers from Banjo, a phenomenal game, if you come from there, and then you package this like Banjo, and you say, and I mean, even the logo is the game. I mean,
they sold Banjo pretty much.
Yeah,
they ran it up as close as they could get without getting sued. They ran that all the way up. Yeah.
So when you do that, you're creating these expectations, right? It's like the No Man's Sky thing where you start creating these expectations. Not obviously that intense and pure lies, but we're talking you're packaging this and you're comparing it to Banjo, and it looks exactly like it. It looks beautiful. And yet you won't go above and beyond as simple things like voice acting and stuff like that. Listen, I'm all for backing games and all these guys and gals that are backing games, but it gets to the point where they go, well, we've got $3 million for this game. It's like, well, man, if you believe in your game and you guys come from very successful studios, start putting up some of your own goddamn money. There should be some matching here. Like, just because you got a big amount of money, they go, well, we don't have to take any risk. And it becomes this thing where, hey, we've got the funds, let's use what we got, and let's not take any risk, and let's reap all the benefits. So if the game doesn't sell the way it is, or it doesn't get reviewed the way you want it, don't blame that on us for expectations. You guys sold this game to us, and then you decided to skimp out. If they would have done things and added some more money, and it's not even just this game. We're talking just Kickstarter in general. Even things like Abduction, which I thought was amazing, and I actually liked it more than Riven. But
did you play Riven?
Yeah, of course. I beat Myst and I beat Riven.
Okay,
I own both of them.
Adam.
I beat them both.
I was
twice.
going to say, because I was like, Riven, I'm just biased because Riven I think is the greatest puzzle adventure of all time. Just hashtag that.
No, well, I just enjoyed Abduction more, but even still, games like that, and when you even said, well, they've only got $1 million or $2 million to work with, it's like, well, where's your money? Are we
put 100,000 in for voice acting?
Are we just forking the bill for everything, and then you're just going to put it in and cheap your way? I mean, if you believe in your game, if you're as passionate as you say you are in this video, and you come from big development, like a big studio where you've made millions of dollars off these games, or you've been a proven concept that you can make amazing titles, then believe in yourself and start putting some money up. It's like going to an investor and saying, hey, I've got this great idea, I've got this great product, but I'm not willing to go and take a loan. I'm not willing to remortgage my house. I'm not willing to do anything it takes to show you I'm as in this as you are as a consumer, since you're going to back it up. And then when you give a half-assed job, or even you go 3/4 of the way when it could have been something amazing or great, and you just kind of skimp out, that's on you. I'm sorry, that's on you.
Okay. Yeah.
I actually 100% agree with Jeff there, especially for Yuka.
Yeah. There are some Kickstarter games that I don't think that applies to, because not everybody is big ballin' enough to actually just put $100K in to back their game and go with it. Some people do. I've seen people remortgage their fucking home to do it, and then the game bombs and they're fucked. So I can appreciate wanting to dream.
Yeah. It's called taking a risk.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Some people's idea of following a dream is getting into the NBA, and they realize they're really fucking shit at basketball, and they chase it until they go work McDonald's.
Then you have no business. You have no business doing it. You have no business taking my money, right? You have no business.
They went in. They actually, before they even went on Kickstarter, they had the game in development. Like, what they demoed for the Kickstarter was actually functional. So, like, they had already put in time, effort, and money, and they were like, this is the proof of concept game. We have a lot of the stuff. And they had a lot of the gameplay, like, mechanics already done. And they're like, are you guys interested in kind of seeing this game? If not, we'll move on to something else. If so, we'll finish this. So, like, I have props for them for at least going that route. They went it alone for a while, and then they're like, all right, to finish this, we do need to get money from outside people.
Yeah, but, you know, when the game came out, ultimately, to try and bring it back to the whole, you know, because there's a lot of people still looking at it going, well, is this a good game or not? Like, every time I was streaming the game, half of the comments were, hey, is this good? People were coming in that have never been in my stream before, spent 5 seconds in my stream to ask that one question, and then, like, fucking bounced. So there's a huge amount of confusion, and for rightfully so, because of all the varying reviews, more so than most games I've seen in a long time. My answer every time somebody came in, or my explanation for why the game is bouncing all over the place, is that it is an expectation versus reality. I think when people heard this is a 2017 Banjo-Kazooie, despite the fact that along every step of the way, these guys were making it very clear that this was going to be a retro recreation. There was nothing ever that hinted at Yooka-Laylee being some genre-expanding platformer ever at any point in time. They never hinted at it. They never had any, like, you know, weird trailers like
they
the
delivered on that though.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. So that's where I'm going with this, right? So you know, it's not that they didn't deliver exactly what they said. It's that people, despite the fact that they delivered exactly what they said, still said, why isn't it this? And then reviewed the game based on those expectations. I feel like a lot of people, it's fine if you give the game a low score. That's cool. That's whatever. I'm not going to give this game a crazy fucking score. It's not going to happen because it has its problems. But nothing about the score, really, is being influenced by the fact that the game doesn't have a whole bunch of modern, everyday comforts that a game provides, because
even
when
better
they made
than most
the game,
modern day platformers, though.
Well, that's the other thing, right? When it comes down to just the platforming part, this game is fantastic. It plays remarkably well. The bosses are all terrible, all shit show. Boss is the worst part of this entire game.
I was like,
every
terrible.
boss. No, the designs were fun. The comedy was great, but the boss battles were complete and utter asshole. There's just all of them shit. But the raw platforming and collection
Bleached
of
or
items,
unbleached?
which is 100% unbleached, hairy braided. It's just all of it bad. So yeah, it's nasty. So you know, the part that was Banjo-Kazooie for me, which is a collection fest. That's what Banjo-Kazooie was. You went and you collected 100 different items, and there was 1,000 of them in each level. And the whole point of that game, aside from the fact that it had bosses, was let's go collect all the things forever, right? That part of Yooka-Laylee 10 out of 10. Fantastic. Platforming's fun. The different movesets are great. They even give you different reasons to go and collect things because they reward you for basically every collectible in the game has a reward attached to it every time you collect so many of them. So it's even gone a little bit further than it was before. But people were expecting new age wonder in this game, and they didn't get it. And a lot of those reviews, if you read them, come down to, this feels like it's 1997 all over again. Blah, 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 1997. Blah, blah, blah. I wanted this. I wanted that. Why is it when I die that I get sent to the beginning of the level or the last door that I exited? Why can't it just have checkpoints? Like all this nonsense. The biggest complaint about the voices I'm on board with. It's too much. Back in the 90s, we didn't even get that many voices that were like that. Like it was too many. Like even the banjo didn't have that many. So
if you wanted to nod to it, just give Yooka and Laylee the like retro 97 voices and then voice act all the others like, loosely, because there's a bunch of characters. Yeah, just get those voice acted, but you still get the nostalgia factor from like Yooka-Laylee. It was just like, I'm like, guys, there's just way too many of these noises, especially with what we're used to nowadays.
Yeah,
I need more varied sound design.
I would have been cool if they stuck to the level that Banjo had, which was more silence, and then the odd, cutscenes and stuff had more of that stuff that were, happened, but you weren't hearing it so much. It was crazy. But yeah, I think that's what it ultimately is, and so that's why I wanted to talk about the Kickstarter thing with expectations versus reality. Is I think the case for Yooka-Laylee is people, despite the fact they were told exactly what was fucking coming, they still managed to put their expectations in a totally different place, and that's not just the consumers, that's the reviewers. And then they come out and they pull a Jimquisition. They pull a Jimquisition and they shit all up and down the slide. The whole fucking thing, the whole game becomes garbage because of the expectations not being met. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, after a 20-minute behind, we are still kind of on time right now as far as the restart, which is impressive. So I'm going to say 10 out of 10, boys. Well done. We've done it. We've made it to the halfway point. We're going to transition ourselves into a totally expected sellout. And then we will be back with a loaded second half that includes talking about the Super Nintendo Classic / Mini, which nobody saw that coming / sarcasm. And the big one that's going to be kind of fun to talk about is the Germany broadcasting license stuff that just cropped up, as well as the Twitch changes that happened this week. And then Jeff's going to go on a mean spring-summer movie lineup talk that I don't even know what movies are coming, so I'm going to get all my info from Mr. Black. Yeah. All that's coming up after these fine messages from yours truly. The sellout is real. Ladies and gentlemen, we will be right back.
Patreon.
iTunes. 5-star ratings. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes. Hey guys, if you're enjoying Technical Alpha and are interested in supporting us, do I have a solution for you? We've set up this Patreon page to help us help you, help us and you. We've got a list of options that would make a used car salesman cry that provides you with a range of goodies for your support. Head on over to patreon.com/technicalalpha to see what's up for grabs. Like fancy badges and stuff? Subscribe to us on Twitch to get access to, well, badges and stuff. Not big on subscriptions? We have a button below that allows you to directly throw money at our faces. Careful you don't take those eyes out though. We are so very fond of our eyes. Honestly though, while we like to joke about the sellout, just being a regular listener is a huge help, and we're incredibly thankful for all of your support. Technical Alpha will continue soon, so sit tight. are back, ladies and gentlemen, back from break and back with more technical alpha. Got my water. I'm ready to dilute the salt as we move into what, for some people in this industry, is going to be an extraordinarily salty time. I can't even imagine. I tried to, like, when I first read about this, and we're going to talk about that, you know, after we cover something else. But man, that German broadcasting thing.
It's rough. It's rough. For those who don't know, now in Germany,
no, let's save it. Let's save it. We're rolling that one in later. We got to talk about something else first.
Okay.
We can talk about something else first.
Yeah, the first one will be quick.
First one's quick, and we'll roll right into that because there's not too much to talk about here. I don't think.
The
but
pre-salt.
we do want to cover it. Yeah, we do. It's still a little salty, but not the same kind of salt. This is like pink Himalayan salt that you get the fancy shit.
And then we go straight to the rock salt.
Yeah, exactly. Then we just straight to rock salt. So we all talked about this last week, where the Nintendo Classic, or the Nintendo Mini, as people are also calling it, got discontinued. They're pulling it off the market, despite demand being basically through the roof for the last 9 months straight.
Take my money.
Just the inflated rate of sale on eBay and whatnot, it's going for like 4 times its value, like $240, $250. I saw one for $400 at some point.
Yeah, I saw one for like $420 or $430.
Yeah. So hot on the heels of this, and not to be, shocked by, and we should also say this is not confirmed to my knowledge at the point of us recording this, but I would be mind blown if it doesn't get confirmed here at the latest by E3. Is that the SNES Classic?
I do believe it is confirmed.
Are we sure? Because I've seen nothing but rumor.
Yeah, I've just seen rumors, and like speculation.
It's.
I mean,
let's put it that way.
It's a 99% chance of hence.
Yeah.
This is
Nintendo didn't flat out come out and say, "Hey, this is happening," but it's happening.
Oh, I'm pre-ordering it if it's coming out, because I want to make sure I get one this time.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah, for sure. It's the same deal. It's a rumor that's coming out. We don't know. There's not even rumors, I don't think, of what games are going to be coming out for it. You know that they're going to all be likely first party, just like with the NES one was. So some people were already like, "Oh, I hope it has Chrono Trigger." No, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get Chrono Trigger. Could you get a Final Fantasy title? Maybe at best. You're not going to get something like that.
You'll get Chrono Trigger. Oh yeah, you will.
That's not first party.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have to. It's not going to make it cost effective at all if they're going to license that.
They're gonna get Chrono Trigger for sure, guaranteed. Put money on it. I believe they will.
I'm siding with this.
They'll have the Mega Mans. They'll at least have like Mega Man X. They'll have Super Metroid. They'll definitely have the Super Mario World, Super Mario Kart.
All the first party stuff I'm fully expecting. Metroids, Marios, all that stuff. But
but you don't need. You didn't. I'm almost certain they don't care. They've been basically putting out whatever. Even on the NES Mini, there was a bunch of games on there that wasn't Nintendo, or came directly from Nintendo. So I guarantee like one of their big sellers will be Chrono Trigger. That's gonna be, and Earthbound. It'll likely be,
or even like the Link to the Past. That would be a good one to
Link
put
to
on.
the Past.
Zelda will 100% be on there for sure. I mean, they have such a library to pull from that it's going to be good. This is going to be
problem.
No, this is going to be way more sought after than the NES one was, which is scary because now. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, if they come out with it, they're gonna be like, oh, we're gonna jack the price up on this bad boy.
I don't even think they're going to do that. I just think they're not going to sell. I just think they're not going to produce more than 4 of them at a time. I think this is going to be like the same Nintendo
only
bullshit.
making one.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna take a step further. We're gonna number these. They're like Ferraris. Who's gonna get number one? Like it's just
when they number
Nintendo's
it,
policy.
they jack up the price.
Yeah, the
Well,
reason,
yeah,
the
but
reason,
they won't.
The reason why I wanted to bring this up is because we were speculating, and I didn't see this coming. I'll be honest with you. I didn't see this coming. The NES made sense, but obviously since the success of the NES Mini, the SNES Mini really makes sense. And the games, there's much better games on the Super Nintendo. Than on the regular Nintendo. I mean, there are some classics on the NES Mini that they have on there for sure. Some fucking crazy good games. But I bet you the 30 games that will be on this, 20 of them will be playable, like big time playable. You'll get your money's worth with this. They'll probably do a limited run with this as well. Do I see them doing things like a mini N64? I don't think so. I think this is probably the show.
Too soon.
I think what's going to happen is
too expensive to emulate.
A few years down the road, I think we're going to see another version of the NES Mini and the SNES Mini, and maybe with some different games, maybe with more games. And I think that they're going to do it. I think they're going to release these every few years, and keep the demand high for them. I like the idea. I'll definitely run out and get a Super Nintendo Mini, and I'll try and buy several of them and just hold on to them, because guaranteed they're going to stop production on these as well, and the resale value right now was just stupid. But I wanted to bring this up because I think it's amazing. I'm looking forward to it. Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time. I think it's going to be amazing. I'll be that guy that'll actually go in a lineup at Best Buy to pick one of these up.
I would wait for one.
Yeah, I'll definitely wait for one. There's not a lot of things that'll get me out in the cold to, it'll be summertime, so it won't be bad, but there's not a lot of things that'll get me standing in a line. I'm the type of guy that'll pay a premium to have somebody else stand in the line for me, but I'll actually go out and stand in the line for this, because I think it's great. I think it's a great idea. And now I'm not as mad at Nintendo, because the main reason I wanted to talk about this as well is because we were trying to figure out why Nintendo would do something like shelf the NES Mini.
It all makes more sense now.
It all makes sense now, and I can say I agree with them stopping production on that. It's going to make it so people are going to really want this even more. It kind of sucks for resale value because people are going to be gouging prices like crazy, but it's no different than trying to get a Switch right now or something
Anything
like that.
limited, yeah.
It makes sense. I love the limitedness to these. And it makes it feel like you've got something special, even though you're holding a piece of plastic that are playing ROMs. It really adds something to it. So I'm all for this, giving Nintendo a thumbs up, which I never thought I'd do in any time in the near future.
So you're going to need like 5 of them, like 3 to sell, 1 to play, and 1 to keep new in box?
New in box, 100%.
I'm excited that I'm excited. I'm not going to say I'm excited. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't give a fuck about any of this shit. I really don't care, because I can emulate all of these things already. I can play them on my TV.
Yeah, but it's just
I can upscale them. I can put scan lines on them. I can do 1,001 things that these boxes will never do. It's through HDMI. It looks better. It runs better.
But here's the thing, Adam. Here's the thing. Nobody gives a fuck of what you can do. Nobody cares. Like, congratulations, dude.
No one wants to put that effort in. They just
you can get ROMs and
they
you
just
can
want
make
to
it
plug it in and play.
Adam can sit for 4 hours and twiddle on with some fucking anti-aliasing and do
hours.
all these great things.
You plug it in and go.
Listen, Adam. Listen, congratulations, bro. But there's a lot of people out here that like to actually have a console,
I don't want to fiddle with an
plug it
emulator.
into a TV, not sit in front of the computer. Not everybody is adverse as you are when it comes to getting things, no matter how easy it is. This is great for a casual person, somebody that wants to introduce the Super Nintendo, the greatest console of all time, to their child, or hang out with their buddies and plug it into an HDMI and play on a TV and have a good time. This isn't for someone that's jaded like you, that has already got all the answers in the world and that can do this better than what Nintendo's packaging it for. Finally, they're doing something that is exciting, that makes sense, and people are in demand to get. I am way more excited than this than a Nintendo Switch.
100% on board with Jeff here.
This is this is amazing. I'm giving Nintendo its due props. The Super Nintendo Mini is amazing. They got proof of concept with the NES Mini. People love it. You can modify it. You can do your whole Atom thing to it and add even more games. It's just great.
It's a waste of time. There's no way if you're gonna. I just don't get why people are modding it, because you can build it with a. If you're gonna go out of the. If you're gonna go. If you're a modder. Yes, if you're a modder, think about that for a second.
Even if you're not talking to the modder people, you can't tell me that it's actually easier to pull this thing out of the easier than pulling this thing out of the box, plugging it in, and then just picking the game from menu and playing. No, you have to download the emulators, you have to download the ROMs, you got to set everything up, you got to set up all your things.
At no point did I say it was easier. Zero times did easier leave my lips.
But even then, it's people just want plug and play. They don't want to have to deal with downloading and setting up shit.
That's fine. I'm happy for these people. You guys make it look like me saying happy. I don't personally care about it, that I'm suddenly like, fuck all you bitches buying this shit. Get fucked.
I think you are.
Never is. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is Nintendo, suck a dick, because there are this many people looking to play them, and Nintendo plays the demand game, and they just go away, and then people want it, but then they end up spending 3 or 4 times more money on it. Nintendo doesn't even see that fucking 3 or 4 times more money because they're too fucking dense, and then they stop production, and I would give them more props if they didn't bullshit about why they're stopping the shit. If they said, hey guys, we're gonna do some cyclical shit on this, and it's going to come back, people wouldn't feel pressured to go out and buy this shit in the aftermarket, and then Nintendo wouldn't have to sit there and go, oh guys, we're sorry, we didn't plan on making this a fucking long time thing, and these parts are really fucking rare. No, they're not, you stupid fucking liar. They're not rare at all, and when somebody like Jerry Rigs Everything strips apart your fucking Super Nintendo one, and the parts are 99% the same fucking thing, people are going to go, ha! Gotcha, bitch! Not that it's gonna fucking matter, but that's why I'm not giving them all these props. Why in the hell would you not just run these things both at the same time? They're like, how much were they charging for these things? Like $59?
Yeah.
What was it?
Yep.
What the fuck? These are like $10 fucking boxes that they're making and shipping them out, and they can't run both of these things side by side to give the people the plug and play fucking nostalgia. I'm happy that this is happening and people are going to get this, and if on a long shot they get Chrono Trigger, that will sell it by itself, or Super Mario World. People will pay $60 just to play Super Mario World on their HD TV again. That's an easy fucking sell. Doesn't even have to have 4 or 5 other games on it, or however many 50 games are going to put on it.
30.
This is going to be amazing. The thing is, I don't agree, and I hate that they lie, and I think that it's bullshit practices that they're using, and I want them to just leave it out so that more people can experience it. I want more people to have that. Personally,
so your problem
I don't
is the
care.
limited time frame.
Yes, it's stupid, and the fact that they're lying blatantly. It's like Trump level lying. It's I didn't say that.
I love how hypocritical you are, bro.
How am I hypocritical? Call me out. Do it.
This is coming from.
I thought we were doing the Himalayan salt. Now we're going full rock salt. This is coming from the same
fucking guy that sat there and was on No Man's Sky dick. And you motherfucker talking about lies and blatant lies, and you sat there and you defended these assholes for days and days and days until eventually you submitted and you started digging real deep and people were giving you this shit, and you want to talk about now you're mad because Nintendo's lying about
you're going to call me a hypocrite.
I'm going to call you straight
for knowing more about No Man's Sky than any of you motherfuckers for the longest time, and then when somebody presents me with information, you're going to call me out for having the balls to fucking change my point of view, and then you're going to call me a hypocrite for a totally different fucking subject that is not even in the same fucking realm. So if I had not flipped and said, hey, I still think in the face of all the information that you're presenting me that No Man's Sky is the greatest fucking thing since sliced bread, I would call it cool. Now you can call me a hypocrite. I changed my fucking views because people eventually, all this information came out and was presented to me. I did it live on fucking stream. You can go watch me change my fucking point of view. So there's no hypocritical anything in here. This is me saying that I don't like Nintendo saying, we're doing this because it's rare parts. It's not rare parts. You're just doing it for your own stupid Nintendo bullshit like you always do. And then the next console is going to be the same friggin' parts. That has This is one of the longest fucking Grand Canyon leaps for a hypocritical labeling I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
Mommy
But
and
that's
Daddy,
cool.
can we stop fighting,
That's
please?
fine. That's silly.
Sure.
Again, I'd be cool if you call me a hypocrite if I hadn't changed my mind. But I changed my mind. I did it live, and it's all on video, so I can't even fuck with it.
You changed your mind when you got backed up into a corner and people were just constantly disagreeing with you, and for days and for
disagree
days
with
and
that.
days.
What am I
days
rocking a
and
hard place here? If I don't change it, I'm an asshole. But if I change it, I'm an asshole
No.
anyway because I was backed into a corner.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's pretty hypocritical from where you were before in terms of lies when they were right in front of you and you refused to acknowledge it until you got your throat shit down, and and then eventually you're like, fine. All right, guys.
There was no throat shitting down. There was one of the most in-depth fucking Reddit threads that was like some Sherlock Holmes level
man.
shit that took months
We're going to Reddit,
of
boys.
premeditated and post-meditated shit that wrote an Encyclopedia Britannica that I went through point for point. This is months after it came out. This is not me getting shit down my throat. This is somebody piecing together shit like it was their job. They never even got fucking
was like
paid to do that
days.
shit. To post that shit and for me to go through it for stuff that I didn't even know existed because here's the trick. Barely anybody knew because this motherfucker spent half his fucking known adult life looking it up and figuring it out and connecting the dots like he was some psychopath in the back of a U-Haul with one of those maps where he's got strings attached to like fucking Pamela Anderson and like fucking Brad Pitt making connect the dots in the background and then put it on the internet. Then I said, yeah, you know what? Pamela Anderson.
I was there.
And
I was
Brad
there on
Pitt
the stream.
would
I was
make
on that whole stream. Yep.
They would make a good couple. I agree with that. They should totally get together. That's the silliest thing I've
I
ever.
don't even know what kind of
Good
salt
Lord.
this is. I have no idea what kind of salt this
That's
is.
just silly.
Anyway, I think the Super Nintendo. I think it's great. You obviously don't.
I'm on board with
and
this.
I just said I think it's
I'm
great.
usually on you. I'm usually on you for you think the Super Nintendo thing is great now?
I just said that I think it's great. I just said I just don't care about it myself, and I'm not happy with how Nintendo is framing the stoppage of the NES.
Okay. I feel like you said two different things, and
I said I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Okay, which does not mean I don't think it's great. That just means personally I don't give a fuck.
Well, you basically went through all of the different
mixed
things
signals.
on why they can't do two of the things together and why it's a piece of shit and how it's only worth $5 and all these other things
Which
and how
were
you can do
reasons
it
for
better.
why I don't
which
understand
is
why
basically
they're
you
not
saying
putting
it's
it
not
out.
good, but now you're just saying it's good.
I'm not.
So
I
I
can't
can't win.
how I could do it
I
better.
can't win this argument regardless because you're saying both sides of the spectrum.
Oh my God.
You're
This
calling it a
irony-
piece of shit, but you're saying it's good.
This irony is so fucking thick that you could cut it with a fucking doorstop. Like that fucking infomercial gift that everybody just is a person cutting bread with a doorstop. That's how fucking ridiculous this conversation has gotten. Holy sweet mother of God.
Shall we move on?
Anyway, it's all recorded now 16 ways. People can take their sides on that one. Anyway, Germany. We can all agree on this one. This is some bullshit. And if we don't all agree this is some bullshit, then I seriously have some questions for you gentlemen. The full headline, I think Jeff actually has in the notes for this podcast somewhere that involves German words that I can't pronounce and I don't think anybody else in here can pronounce either. But the long short of it is the German government decided that at some point live streaming should fall under broadcasting like TV and I guess radio syndication and all this stuff. Excuse me. And so they said, hey, there's a good shot. We're going to see if we can push this through. Or did it go through already? Is it 100% through? Or is this like still being voted on somewhere?
I think it's already in effect. It was like effective immediately.
Did Hitbox just lose like
it's
50%
actually in
of
effect?
of its streamers because of it?
I'm almost.
But
certain
regardless,
it's put into effect.
whether it's all the way through or it's on its way, the long short of it is because they want to label it broadcasting, it's they want to slap a licensing fee on for everybody that's doing that in a job capacity. So I guess if you become a partner, as soon as you have a dollar come through the door, the German government wants between 1 and 10,000 euro, depending on the size of your audience, I believe is how they're scaling it. And that's crazy. that's absolutely insane.
I agree.
I agree and disagree. Yeah, the numbers that they're slapping on it is ridiculous, especially for the kind of industry it is. I feel like they need to be more flexible on it. Them classifying it as broadcasting, it technically is broadcasting. And if they want to regulate it that way, that's completely on Germany for doing it that way. But I feel like they need to be more intelligent about it on notably pricing. Like the $1,000 for broadcasting on Twitch because someone paid you is ridiculous. And like that's the lowest level. And like the more viewers you have, the more expensive it gets. And I looked at some of those prices and I'm like, damn, that's gonna just shut down everyone. And I'm like, that's not what they want. Hopefully, but you know. Again, legally, I agree if they want to do it, that's fine, but they really need to be smarter about how they implement it, especially with the cost. They can't just like lump it into like another media.
No,
I don't think there should be any cost at all.
Yeah, I mean, like I partially agree with Panic that there's got to be a line somewhere because it would be very difficult. Yeah, like it would be very difficult, I should say, for somebody, let's say, who does local television, or not even local, because local is usually done totally differently. Let's just say you're on television in general, but you're not on the biggest channel known to man. You're on channel like 746, some random, really specific, used to be about World War, now you're about aliens, like whatever, one of those channels. History, I think is what I'm probably going for on that one. But let's say you're doing anything and you have a small show on there. It's something that gets, let's say, 125,000 people watching it every time the show comes on TV. And you have production costs and everything else as it's going on. You're paying into this same kind of thing for 125,000 people watching your show. There are streamers that put 125,000 in the drain, easy, on a weekly basis.
Just dumpster it.
Just dumpster that number. So, it will at some point. The guys that are on the traditional media, as you would want to call it, the stuff that has been around forever and ever and ever, are going to want to look at that and say, well, if these guys are getting away with it and they're making all this money and they've got way more, like orders of magnitude in some cases, more viewership than we do, and we're paying this money, why aren't they doing it? I can see why that would become a problem. But that's why I think where it starts is a very important line, when that cuts in. If this is going to exist at all, where do they draw the entry line? Is it the first dollar that comes through the door? Do you have to be a partner? Does it count that, people are sending in donations and you're making money that way? Does that count towards it? Do we do it on viewership? Do we do it on income? Do we do a percentage? Do we do a flat fee? I think this is going to become a problem in more places than just Germany. Germany's catching huge flack for the fact that they're doing it, but it's probably going to turn up in other countries anyway. And it doesn't surprise me that it's in a European country to start with. But yeah, I think
it's one of the governmental issues, though. I mean, it's one of the big things. Like, we're from the internet age. We do all this stuff. We move a lot quicker, and it's kind of a leap before you look type of situation. So a lot of like the newer industry, they kind of just come in and they build a space. Uber's doing it. All like the gig economy stuff is doing it nowadays. And governments and laws move a lot slower. They're trying to like. Yeah, exactly. So you have all of these like broadcast and radio laws, and Twitch and all these others, unfortunately, technically falls under it. And honestly, it really sucks for Germany. But they're enforcing their laws, but I feel like they're kind of pushing the enforcement for the fact that, again, I'm optimistic here. I feel like they're pushing it so that they can actually get the laws updated and changed, and actually by putting it forth where we're enforcing the laws, they force the discussion to happen, and then they force criteria to be defined. Because one, and it's good for everyone in the long run. In the near term, this absolutely fucking sucks. But in the long run, now, if you look at it, if Twitch is now this thing that you need a license, and you do all that stuff. Yeah, fine, they work it out in the details, but then it becomes a more mainline and more mainstream thing. A lot more people can eventually get into it if they put criteria around it. You know, for how do you define, you know, when you have to get a license? How do you define all these other things? Like if you're making $1 million in Germany from streaming and all this stuff, yeah, you kind of do have to pay back into the society that's allowing you to do that. That's my personal belief.
You pay your fucking taxes.
Yeah, but
like
how hard
else.
is it to pay your taxes? How hard is it to pay your taxes reliably? Like, have you not seen Twitter with everyone talking about, oh, I paid my taxes this way. Oh, I kind of screwed up. I have no idea what I'm doing for my taxes.
Well,
you shouldn't penalize
other streamers for that. I mean, you know, I pay my taxes.
You shouldn't, but that's how the government sees it.
I
like,
pay
they
a ridiculous amount of taxes, and I pay my taxes on time. The last thing that I want to do is pay $10,000 for a broadcasting
what
license.
you're paying is not what other people might end up paying. Other people might end up lowballing or screwing up by having this stuff be kind of defined and codified. It makes it so that everyone should know, and they can be like, oh yeah, no, it's not a gray area. They're moving from being a gray area to being like, no, this is what it is. Again, sucks short term, sucks even midterm. Longer term, I think it'll be a good thing. Maybe not specifically in Germany if they require the licensing, but by at least saying, oh, we kind of have to enforce it now, they're forcing the discussion to be like, how do we classify this? We need to talk about it.
Yeah, it is difficult. Like especially for us because we're in it, so it's harder to look at it like not biased, right? You don't want your money touched. If you're already in this and you're doing it, you're not paying a damn thing, in terms of keeping your production going, and you're just paying your personal or business income tax, then you're gonna be against it like 9 times out of 10. And obviously I wouldn't want to see it happen either. This is just part of the greater movement or the clashing of new age media and traditional media, where the two of them are trying to find some sort of merging point, where TV is becoming more on demand to meet the relevancy of internet always on demand, and the internet is trying trying to meet with kind of almost syndicated TV, where now they're trying to take internet stuff and get it onto traditional media, and everybody's trying to share it. But when the two collide, and there's such a gap in regulation between the two, like here in Canada, for example, the government in most countries probably, I would imagine, has a pretty big hand in broadcast television. They have a stake in that, and it's part of the problem. Like the CRTC is halfway up of some of the networks here in Canada's ass. Like it's just, and they control it for that very reason. So there's going to be a lot of clashing, and this is definitely one of those steps, I think. And it shows, I think it shows how much of a threat, if you wanted to call it a threat, the live streaming community has now become to traditional media, where for the first 5 years of its inception, it wasn't necessarily something that was looked at. Now we're getting esports that are more and more showing up on TV. More people know about it. More people are watching it. The numbers keep going up. The dollar amounts keep going up. The old white guys that control traditional media now want to get their hands involved in it. And every time they touch it, they've got to turn it into the shit from 40, 50 years ago, because it's all they know and it's how they've made their hundreds of millions of fucking dollars. And then you've got the 30-somethings fighting with the 70-somethings, and they're trying to fucking come together, and you get these weird, awkward moments. And like Panic said, unfortunately for traditional media and stuff like this, the pace in which legislation moves is terrible. I mean, all legislation moves pretty damn slow, but when it comes to stuff like this, it's just like a snail's pace. We're going to be 50. Shit's going to be passing through the system that should have passed in 2 years.
It wasn't a snail's pace like for Germany. The shit is done. They're paying for it. It doesn't matter.
They've been talking about it before.
What's going on?
But they announced it once it passed. But like again,
I haven't heard about this before.
It didn't make the media until they actually passed it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is
honestly, who actually listens to? Oh, they're talking about certain laws, other than in like the U.S. Most people don't.
It's like, who listens to CPAC on a daily basis? Who turns that on for shits and giggles and listens to what's going on?
Yeah. The current analog, like I would say to this, is like when Amazon came around. It's like, once you start buying stuff online, how do you pay local sales tax, or do you pay local sales tax, or do you even pay statewide sales tax because it's coming from some Amazon place somewhere else? Now, it took them years to figure that out, and they're still kind of figuring it out.
I can't agree with this. I can't agree with this at all. I think it's horrible. I think it's going to axe out a lot of great talent that's coming up, people that just legitimately can't afford these ridiculous prices. And even if it only costs $100 or $300 a year, it's fucking stupid. It's discouraging. People don't know how to get a license. People don't fucking care to get a license. You just want to turn on and play a video game. Why does this have to become more than just that? I understand the reasoning behind it, and the only reasoning that I can really see is they want a piece of your money. They want to charge you. The government wants to make more money. They
always want a piece of your money.
But
of course they do.
They're getting it via taxes. They just can't regulate radio or television the same they would some 17-year-old kid in his basement that so happens to have 500 followers from Clash of Clans. It just doesn't make sense. It's stupid. I can't get behind it at all. It's rushed. It came out of nowhere. It's a shock to up-and-coming streamers or even established streamers that may only be making $4,000 a year, and now a quarter of it's got to go to the government because you just so happen to have X amount of viewers. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I can't get on board with that at all in any way, shape, or form. That's where I stand.
I don't like how it is. Yeah, I don't like how it is right now. In a perfect world, this wouldn't exist at all. But I'm fully. It's
just the crappy reality we have to deal with.
I'm fully prepared to take on the reality that this is probably going to be in more places than just Germany. So it's not necessarily that I agree with it. I just know that it's coming. And I'm not agreeing with where it is right now. I think the starting point of when it kicks in is probably going to be the hottest debated topic for this thing. When do we start, taking stuff off the top? And because once it's in, it's going to be really hard to get out completely. It's going to be less about getting it out and more about, making modifications to it, which, like Panic said before, might be partially good for the traditional media because it's now lumped in with it. So if they change that, it's going to change everything. And if it changes in any direction, it's going to be down. This is never. It would never go up. It'll be on a downward trend. But again, for the first people in this is fucking terrible.
Yeah, it sucks now.
I think what's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then it's a huge blow to our entire industry, is Twitch is just going to have to fork the bill for all the licenses. That's just the way it is.
Doubt they will.
I can see it. I mean, they're a massive company. I think for partnered streamers or people with a certain amount of stature, they'll cover that. That'll come part of your partnered package. I think that's what's going to happen. It's either that or they're going to give a discounted rate. They'd have to do something, because even if you got to pay $1,000 for a streamer, and you went to every single streamer on Twitch right now and said you got to pay $1,000 or the government's coming after your ass, they're going to not stream. It's that simple. I mean, how many streamers there are that are broke and have nothing and made something of themselves via video games? They don't have $1,000 or $5,000 to give to the government for a license. Twitch, Hitbox, whatever, they're going to have to fork the bill, or the company that decides to fork the bill is going to get a massive influx of new users because they're all going to go there and they're going to stream. And I think it's just going to become part of the package. You're going to be a partnered streamer. You're going to have a guaranteed license. If you're not a partnered streamer, then you ought to pay your own license.
You should have an umbrella license under Twitch or something.
But I still think we are a very long way away before something like that happens. And I still don't fully agree with it at all. But
It'll
I'm
be
biased,
interesting
right?
to see.
Are we sure? I'm the guy that does this.
And again, just to make sure, this is passed, because I asked in the beginning. This is all
It's
the way
passed.
through.
I don't
Okay.
know.
All right.
It's bad. I just
All
read
right.
2 articles while you guys were talking.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, it is unfortunate. Now, in a similar vein, as far as making money in the Twitch world, there have been some changes that have happened this week on Twitch. In kind of rapid succession, we've had a couple of things make their way out through partner emails, and it was kind of funny. Everybody had a good little giggle at Twitch for originally sending out emails to like 15,000 partners, expecting that to never hit social media. Yeah, confidential, guys. It says it in the title. As if people weren't going to immediately, somebody was going to go to Twitter and talk about that. So there have been some changes. Or not necessarily changes, but additions, I guess is probably the more appropriate term for this coming out from Twitch. The first one that everybody was finding out about was the fact that they're going to expand the subscription services on Twitch from $4.99. Now it's going to be $4.99, $9.99, and $24.99. I think was the third tier of the 3.
Did they come out and say that yet? Publicly?
Yes.
Yeah, those are yours.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, all of that's out now.
I
So-
read everything, but I know you weren't allowed to talk about it, and then it got leaked. But a few streamers leaked it, and
Yeah, no, that's a thing now. So yeah, it's a leak. There was not even an NDA. It was just like, please don't talk about it, guys. It's confidential. Send it. Yeah, it's the silliest thing ever. But they, so those are going to be options now for streamers. To my knowledge, in regards to that update, the only things that really change there, other than how much money somebody is giving you, I'm going to assume the cuts are the same, 50-50, 70-30, 80-20, depending on who you are and how big your dick is. And then for the person giving you that money, the streamer has the ability to like lock certain emotes to those tiers, to my understanding. And I think personally that's all I read. I didn't see anything else there. I didn't see custom badges. I didn't see.
I think there's like custom badges for sub tiers, and then the big one. Did they allow ad separation or not? I don't know if they listed that or not. Like I know the older school partners had like they got grandfathered in where ads were suppressed if you had a subscription button. Like is that something that you can give to your top? Yeah, is that something you can give to like your top subscriber tier where they just don't get ads for the newer guys? That would be like a nice perk, I would say.
No, I think the only thing that I'm reading here is the exclusive emotes to
tiers.
higher paying subscribers.
Yeah, that one was kind of like too many pieces of flair.
And you probably get a different badge, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then also when you get like a $9.99, it counts as 2 subscribers, and if you get a $24.99, it counts as 6 subscribers. So you can get emotes quicker. So if you say you're a smaller channel, and every like 500 subs you unlock 5 more emotes. So if 50 people on your stream are the 6. Then it counts as like whatever that math is, 600 or 300 subscribers. So you can get to those levels.
They have much smaller like things.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
the perma
yeah.
unlock, I think.
Yeah. So I mean, coming from somebody like me that I've never reached 2,000 subs. I've always like hovered between like 1,100 and 1,700. I will likely end up getting those 5 extra emotes because I'm sure there'll be people that will sub for longer.
They actually changed the scaling for unlocking the emotes as well this week.
Yeah, it's a lot smaller steps.
Yeah, so like emotes, you're gonna have a lot more emotes now. I think
It's like every 50 you unlock it and it's permanently unlocked.
Yeah, and now they're keeping it permanently, which was something that I was actually talking about with Gabs a few days ago when this first got leaked, and I said, well, if they're going to do something like this, it'd be nice if they permanently unlock stuff, because it was always silly for streamers who are always hovering around each of the
you have to go get that artwork done
brackets. Yeah, like you'd get into the new emotes, you get 2 more emotes unlocked or whatever, and then you fill those out, and then 2 months later you drop like 5 below. And then 2 emotes get taken away.
That was the thing?
That was the thing.
Yeah, you lose your emotes.
You lose your emotes.
Wow.
So now, which was always stupid as hell, so now they've got it where it's permanently unlocked. So whenever you go to that next tier and you get it, you hit that new benchmark, you keep that level of emotes no matter what, which I think is a way better system than they had before. As
So
for
what do you think about it?
like, well, I like conceptually the idea of giving people more options. I think I'm not the kind of guy that will always say that, you know, the more options the better. There is a point where too many options just become stupid, and you start losing people because you know, the product is confusing. You know, as it stands right now, people are doing subscriptions, donations, there's Patreon or GameWisp, there's bits, there's Amazon affiliate links, there's buy games through Twitch's Amazon page thing now that they hook up whenever you're playing a game that's in the Amazon store. It just is the never-ending list of monetization. There's t-shirts, apparel, peripherals. People have their sponsors that they're pushing shit. It's literally gotten to the point now where there's like bots in chat spewing out an automated message every 5.5 seconds for a new thing, and
you earn points.
You know, then there's points earning and all this stuff.
I hate those.
So there
bots.
is a point where too many options become a little much. Do I think that this is one of those cases? I don't think so. But what I need to see from Twitch is I need to see more options for better. For better value at these tiers. There is zero fucking value at those tiers right now.
There's just emotes and badges and
exactly.
flair.
And I would hazard a guess that it will be very uncommon for anybody to lock emotes on any subscribers. That would be dumpster fire waiting to happen, right?
Unless
you
you're
don't
you're like a mega star on Twitch, you've got so many
Like a
emotes,
sellout.
then you just make like this, you know, prestige.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but
Make like
so
one emote or something.
But there are things I would like to see. But yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
okay, so here's my problem. I'm Mr. Negative today, but
Okay.
here's my problem. I love Twitch. I love the company. I love the people that work there. They've given me this platform to make a living, and it's phenomenal. Here's my problem with it, and here's my problem with a lot of these things that Twitch has been doing.
I think I know where you're going with this.
And I can't really complain too much. Well, I'm still gonna complain because I can. Even with the bits, you know, I've made a few $1,000s since I opted into the bits thing. You know, their thing was, you know, people can't refund that. Well, here's the thing. The last 19 people that tried to refund money, they all got fucked. I ended up getting their money. It was like $1,400. One dude donated like $600 in a day. The next day, he tried to take it all back and say his credit card was stolen, and I won that entire case. So get fucked. So PayPal at this point has been dealing with streamers and stuff for years. They are totally on board with streamers. They're tired of forking bills, dealing with all the nonsense. They are going to take the side of the streamer if you take it up to that level. Every time they will do it. So that argument is kind of over now. You know, to newer streamers, you know, that may seem like a security thing where they're like, oh, you know, because to some streamers, you know, for me, if I get a $500 donation, that's amazing. It's incredible. It's a lot of money. It's super generous. It's super appreciated. But to a new streamer, somebody that has never gotten a donation before, and they receive a $500 donation, their whole life changes. You know, they're like, this is insane, and then they go and spend the money right away, and then somebody tries to refund the money, and then they go, oh my fuck, I don't have $500 plus the fees to give this back. So, you know, to them, yeah, that may seem like the saving grace because they're not as educated and they haven't been in the business long enough to know they can fight and take it up to those fraudulent levels. But where my problem is with Twitch, and if somebody at Twitch is listening to this, you know, I think they probably know, but I feel as though Twitch
chat with us.
Well, they can go ahead and I can chat with them when I'm at the next con or whatever. I feel like they're getting into our pockets too much. We give them their cut. They got bought out by Amazon. I understand it was a big buyout and they want to make their money back. This is all great. But here's the thing. I think Twitch has realized that streamers are making an insane amount of money via donations. Millions and millions and millions, tens of millions, maybe even hundreds of millions a year if you go through all the donations. I mean, you go on some people's streams. And I mean, you go look at my stream. I mean, I've had it $10,000.
It's hundreds of millions.
It's hundreds of millions of dollars, right?
Without question. I would say, on average, donations probably make up 40 to 50% of all income on any given stream.
Without donations, I'm not doing this full time. Period. That's just the reality of it. And it really sucks when Twitch decides to go, well, we don't have enough money. You've got somebody like Summit that's got 20,000 subs, that's reached over 20,000 subs. And if you do the math, even on just Summit alone, Twitch is making a fuck ton of money. And then there's a bunch of other massive streamers, and then all of the other ones. I mean, if you even compiled all the medium-sized streamers like me, it's an insane amount of money that Twitch is making. And yes, they treat us well. They pay us on time. Their service is great. They treat their partners very well. Very, very well. It's the best company I've ever, worked for. It's like a contract type thing. Amazing. I can't say good enough stuff. But I think Twitch, their eyes are getting a little bit too big, and I think they're realizing that they're not capitalizing on the amount of money that's out there, and they want to take it out of our pockets. And they're doing it in a way that is kind of, it's upsetting, because they're not adding any value to the money that they're taking from us. If their big play was fucking emotes, I mean, Jesus, man, come on. We don't need more emotes.
No cost to them to add that much extra. It's like, it's already tech they have.
Listen,
it's just
man,
adding and changing how they use it.
I'm not going to go in here and tell you my rates on Twitch, okay? But for a standard person, it's 50-50 split on subs. And if Twitch is going to take 50%, totally understand. They have to do the accounting for it. They're giving you a platform, all this other stuff. You can go to cons. They treat you well. That's great. There's value in that. But if you want to make a $9.99 and $24.99 and you still want to take 50% of that,
that's ridiculous.
That's fucking dumb. You should be taking the $2.50 and putting your streamers into a position to succeed. And almost on every article that they make, they're always like, we're making it easier for streamers to do this for a living. No, what you're doing is you're making it easier to take money from the streamers, because there's many platforms like Patreon, like GameWisp, like any other third-party thing where people can go and support, where they can get the majority of the money, where maybe a percentage or 2% of it's taken and not 50%. And obviously, since you're throwing those little gaudy emotes at everybody, yes, there are people out there that think that that's value, and to most consumers, it's really cool to be able to have exclusive emotes. It's really cool to have a cool little badge by your name because you stand out amongst the crowd. But it sucks for the streamer because you're selling the consumer, you're not selling the streamer. And yes, you can make the argument that you can opt in and opt out, but if you don't opt into these things, people are going to say, well, why can't I do this? You don't get the extra benefits, and people are going to go to another streamer and they're going to opt into those things where they can get those extra perks, because it's the perks that people want. Obviously, it's no different. We go on Patreon here, we're like, hey guys, if you hit this tier, we're going to do this great thing for you. If you hit this tier, you're going to do this great. It's an incentive for people to go and support you. Most people want to throw money at you. You just got to give them a reason to do it. And Twitch is given a reason for people to throw money at them. But the thing is it's costing the streamers boatloads of money. If I have somebody on my stream that donates me $50 or $25 every month without fail, and there's a ton of those people, but yet now they go and opt into this $24.99 thing because they get cool emotes, and now they're no longer donating me $25, but instead they're opting in, which, listen, it's support. At the end of the day, it's very petty for me to complain about me getting money from my fan base. Listen, I appreciate that 100%, but to the consumer, they still think they're helping you, and they are, but a lot of them aren't digging that deep into it, and they don't realize that we're actually losing 30-35% because that's now going into Twitch's pocket. And there are probably some streamers out there that are like, I'm all for Twitch making more money, and so am I. Trust me, so am I. Twitch, please give us a reason to give you 50% of $24.99. Don't tell us we're getting more emotes. Be more creative. It's as lazy as a MOBA saying, here are some crates, open them up. Do something creative.
again,
Give people a
add
reason
things
to
like-
subscribe to this. Give a streamer a reason to do this. Give an incentive. Start promoting smaller streams. I don't know what you need to do, but do something different than this, please, because you're robbing the streamers of their money without giving them added content or some kind of benefit from doing this for you. That's where I'm at, and that's why it upsets me a little bit.
Piss me off. Like, again, I'm the consumer. You guys are the content creators. I'm now recently a content creator, but I'm on the consumer side. So for me, if I hypothetically want to give Jeff or Adam $250, right? Back in the day, I'd go to PayPal, send $250, and you guys get like 97% of it, plus or minus the 80% you lose from the Canadian peso or whatever. Now, if I want to give you guys $250, if I want to do that through bits, that's $308 with the highest level discount they give. And for me, I looked at that and I'm like, yeah, I know Twitch provides some value, but honestly, what entitles you to 19% of that support? Yeah, I understand I can do it through Amazon Pay, but even then, it's like, I very rarely give bits out. I personally hate the system.
I waited so long to opt into the bits, and I did it because it started to become a standard. It started to become a standard, and it bugs me because it's all gamified on the stream. Like you have these things flying around. I'm like, I want to watch people play games. And here's the thing: have personality. I don't want to see gaming things like flying around on the screen. Here's the reality, all right? And here's the big secret, guys. If you don't have those things, you don't get
make money at all.
Right? If we were on this podcast right now and we had dings and bells and whistles going off, we'd make a lot more money. It's just that simple because it's part of the experience. People get to drop a John Cena and they get to have my reaction and the chat's reaction, and there's value in that. But when it's just the bits and things are twinkling down and it looks the same every time, that's just the way it is, and that's why I fought it for so long. And eventually, I just because I didn't think the bits thing was gonna stay. I was like, this is just dumb. This is a money grab, but it became part of the norm. So I opted in, and of course, I'm reaping the benefits of that. But let's be real. The real one who's reaping the benefits is Twitch, and of course, there's the consumer thing. I also get it. There are people that like the badges, and I will say that it is cool to see somebody in your chat with a red badge that is giving you $100 worth of bits. That is cool, and I think that's kind of where I would draw the line. But now, if Twitch came out and said, guys, we're really in this for the streamers, and we got a $9.99 and a $24.99, we're still only going to charge you the $2.50 a sub. You guys are getting all the extra because we want to make it more accessible for you to make more money, and safer for you to make more money, and that's the show. I would be like, just like Twitch Prime, which is amazing. They knocked it out of the park on that. Absolutely amazing. Fucking God, just God tier.
Twitch Prime is well executed.
Beautifully. They did that right. But if they came out and said, same rate, you get all of the extra money, so out of the $25, only $2.50 of it's going to us because... obviously you got to pay us.
$4, that'll be okay.
I mean, even a little bit more, $4 or $5. But
if they're going 50%, that's ridiculous.
50%? Oh my God, dude! You want to take 50%? And this is the reason why Twitch Turbo didn't last, because people were like, "Where's my value in this?"
The worst part is like. Your viewer, your subscriber is like, I am supporting this guy so much. I am giving him $24 or $24.99 a month, and I get all these awesome emotes. Great, and then there's that cognitive dissonance. It's like, oh no, Twitch. A lot of people don't actually. Oh no, Twitch is. I don't know what the percentages are. Again, this is all conjecture on my part. I'm assuming it's whatever your contract rate is.
That's what I'm assuming too.
It's like. Yeah, if it's not, hopefully someone will correct us. But if it is your contract rate, it's like they're not gonna the viewer doesn't know that. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, no, he's getting the $24.99, not actually what, like $12.50 or whatever you'd actually.
The reality is, it's not the viewer's problem. It's not the viewer.
It's not their fault. It's not their issue.
We can't expect to
support
get mad at the viewer for this. They're giving their hard-earned money to us, and we appreciate that. And it's kind of it kind of sucks for us too, because. What do I do? Do I go on stream and say, guys, please don't opt into this. Just give me the $25? That comes off as arrogant. It comes off as just distasteful. And also to my employer, it's kind of like somebody walking into a store and saying, well, you should buy this product down the road because it's cheaper. You just don't do that out of respect, right? So all I can really do is voice my opinion, and unless Twitch comes out and says, guys, you got this totally wrong, we're only taking the $2.50 from you, and you get the remainder, then my lips are sealed, and you can throw as many of these emotes at the world that you want, and I'm a happy man. But I'm going to assume it's the same sub rate all the way. What do you think, Adam?
There is so much to
He's
this.
unloading.
There's so much to this topic that it's actually hard to, without having pre-written all of this stuff out, it's hard to put all of this in and have it make sense. You end up almost repeating yourself along the way because there's so many things to cover. Here's the thing. When I said that I wanted, them to do more, give us more value for these, whatever, I didn't even touch on the fact that they're still taking a huge cut of all of these new tiers and stuff. It's because, for the reasons that you eventually hit, Jeff, is that if you don't get into it, it becomes a standard whether you like it or not, and you need to do it. That's why I opted into this immediately. Last with the bits, same as you. I waited forever and ever and ever. Said fuck it, whatever. And I downplay the shit out of bits on my stream. It is a minor little thing. There's barely a fucking noise. It lasts a quarter of a second. There's this tiny little thing that shows up on stream, and that's it. Because I think bits is one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. But here we are. Here's the problem with any and all of this. We could sit here and try and educate viewers until the cows came home. We could have panels. We could have PSAs. We could go door to door like a fucking Jehovah Witness trying to convert people over to things. It's not going to matter. There are so many viewers on this website. It is mind-boggling. And everybody has I won't say everybody. But there is a herd mentality, just like anywhere else, and the moment that just a big enough group starts one thing, everybody jumps on and it no longer matters. Nobody thinks about what is behind it. They just know that there's something that's happening, and a lot of people are doing it, and they automatically want to do the same thing. It's I don't know if I ever said this on the podcast, but I've used this in discussions like this before. You walk into a party. It's like it's a good old-fashioned Nova Scotia kitchen party. You got Classified Blast in the background. Everybody's drinking Alexander Keith's, and one guy's got a kilt, no underwear on, his balls are hanging. You walk in. There are 3 different groups of people, different sizes. You don't know anybody. You were just told there's a party and you want to get smashed. So you show up to this party and you've got your booze with you and you put it in the fridge. You turn around and now there are 3 groups. 9 times out of 10, the person is going to go for the largest group of people. They will gravitate towards the largest group of people. They won't go for the smaller groups. They will go to the biggest group instinctually. And this same concept applies to so many things in society. This is one of those things. As soon as bits became a thing on a couple of major streams, it's all it took. Everybody flocked to it. Now it's a standard. And now if you don't, you're that small group in the corner with 3 dudes talking about Pokemon cards and getting lit as fuck off of Rev like you're in high school. This is basically what you've become. And you want to be the cool guys hanging out with the big crowd, and there's that one small dude breakdancing until he passes out from having no water left in the system. That's the group you want to be with. That's going to happen with this. And we can sit here and say, guys, look, at the beginning of the stream, somebody comes in and the first thing you know is going to happen is, how much are you getting from $9.99? How much are you getting from $24.99? You know, what's the best way to support you? There are always people that ask that question. And then your response is, here it is, guys. Up to this point, the common question up to this point was, what's better? Do I donate you $5 or do I subscribe to you for that same $5? And unfortunately, in all honesty, most people will still say the subscription because it's money that you know is coming in. So despite the fact that you're losing a percentage, it's a reliable source of income that you can look as a streamer that's doing this for a living on the back end of the site and go, I know that at the end of the month, within a margin of error, I'm going to have this many dollars.
And I'll add this and then you can continue. Also with that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, and what I tell people, I say, listen, if you're going to donate $10, become a sub and donate $5. If you're gonna donate $5, or you want to give me $5, become a sub. And the other point that you added to that, besides knowing, like, it's nice to see how many subs I have and say, okay, you know, I'm going to make $2,000 this month for sure, and that's the show. Anything else above and beyond, that's great. So there's that, because donations are an unreliable source of income. A streamer like me, it's pretty reliable that I'm going to do relatively well, but at the end of the day, you just never know. I mean, I've had months that have been phenomenal, and then I've had months that are like, oh my God, you know, I got to stream more. But the other big point is sponsorships. Sponsors love to ask you and see how many subs you have, because it shows that your viewers are willing to pay. They're willing to go above and beyond for you, which means they're more likely to buy their products opposed to not. So that's it also shows your engagement and how connected you are with your audience. And you'll notice that a lot of streamers that are just they play the game, you don't have a webcam, you don't see them, they don't really talk. They have very low sub count to viewer ratio if they're big, but you got somebody like me that actually has more subs than I typically have viewers because of the relationship that I have with my viewers, which also means I can probably sell more products, shoutouts to Power Energy Toothpaste, than most people.
Wow.
And sponsors love to see that. I did that shit.
Wow.
I did that shit.
Shoutouts to Loblaws, who's not paying me, but they have these dope Canada Day pillows. You should go get some. They're fire.
They are fire. But yeah, continue, Adam. But that's another reason why subs are great.
So they're... What is that?
My Regal Crown Club card for movies.
Ah, I see. So yeah, but that changes when you hit $9.99 and $24.99. Assuming, and we don't know yet, but there's a damn good chance that the split remains the same. The odds of them keeping the split at the $2 or whatever,
they probably would have told you.
Would have probably already happened, right? I don't know, but maybe they're gauging. Maybe Jordan's watching this right now, and Jordan's thinking, "Oh shit,
they got us. They caught us.
I gotta go talk to the boys upstairs. Yeah. I gotta go talk to Kevin.
Guys, they found out.
They found out. No,
they're not as stupid.
Shut us, Jordan, though. So that dynamic changes dramatically. And so if somebody came to me and said, hey, what's better, $5 in a sub and $5 in donations or a $9.99 sub, every time I'm going to say $5 in sub, $5 in donation. That ain't going to change. $24.99 comes around, same thing. $5, $20. All day, every day. And even if they change the split, I would still take the donation because the odds of me getting more money that way, tiny. So no matter what, it's... Yeah, go ahead.
When you think about it, like just think about this, if it is a 50-50 split, which we're assuming, I mean, we are assuming, it could be different, and if so, this conversation is totally different. But we're assuming
the odds are pretty good.
They're very high. At $25, say you give half of that to Twitch, which at $12.50, you receive $12.50 of it. You receive $12.50 of it, and then you get taxed on that $12.50. I mean, when it's boiled down to it, you're really seeing about $8, depending on your tax bracket. You're seeing $8 of the 25, which is absolutely like it hurts, right? It really, really hurts.
It's deep.
It's real deep. So right now, just to end my thoughts on it, if Twitch comes out and they say that we're going to give this, if you opt into this streamer, still an option, which I love the fact that they're allowing you to not opt in. But with what Adam was saying, you kind of pressured to do it because it becomes the norm and you're kind of left out of the rat race. You should just kind of do this. But if you're that strongly against it, of course, no one's putting a gun to your head and saying you have to do it. So I give them props for not making it mandatory. But the big thing is, at the end of the day, if they're not going to add another little thing to a streamer for that value that you're giving them, you're giving Twitch money. You're paying Twitch more. It's like somebody bills you for work that they've done for you. They're basically billing us. They're saying we want 50% of this, and you're going, well, the only thing you're doing is giving more emotes. That doesn't. I mean, it depends. I guess maybe some streamers. Yeah, maybe some streamers consider half worth the emotes, and to those people, I mean, opt into this and have a big smile on your face and continue on with your day. But for guys like me, I see right through it. I see it for what it is. I see that they're getting they want a piece of the Patreon market. They want a piece of this stuff because they're realizing that more and more money, millions of dollars, are not going in their pockets. The money isn't funneling through their company. And they would much rather, obviously, have the money funnel through them and then give it out to the streamers and package it as like they're doing us a favor. But at the end of the day, we're the ones really doing them a favor. And if we're not getting anything extra out of it, I don't see the value in it for me personally. But of course, I'll end up opting into it.
I sub to a lot of different streamers, and I've actually had a couple, like, again, I generally support a lot of different streams. I've had a couple comments like, oh, I can definitely count on you for like one of the higher tier subs, right? Because you've been always a huge supporter. I actually had to be like, no, there's maybe only one, maybe two channels I would do it for, but that's for other reasons. Like, I'm not gonna bother with the higher tier sub. Like, I'll keep doing what I do. I just don't see a point. It's kind of ridiculous, for just extra emotes. It doesn't do anything for me. If there was some other value that Twitch would, like Twitch specifically, I'm not talking like for the streamer side, because you're already providing me. I'll support you how I want to support you. But if Twitch is going to offer the extra sub tier and they're going to take a larger cut, I want to know what Twitch is specifically doing to help the streamer.
What are they giving up?
Yeah, no, because my big side is Twitch has they've done a lot of great things. Awesome platform. I've spent a lot of time on it. I thoroughly enjoy it. I understand all the bandwidth and stuff. But before I'm given the compliment sandwich right now, and there is no second compliment. The support, the servers, everything's literally just on fire all the time. They have random outages. They have problems that they haven't fixed for years. So I want to know, where is this value going? Where is this value going? Like, I'm getting, inconsistent. I get buffering, and I'm on a high-end FiOS connection, and I get buffering. Like, I'm getting problems that shouldn't happen.
You are in the same city as the ingest and output server.
Oh yeah,
for the Eastern.
So again,
Seaboard.
like, I want Twitch to say, by rolling this out and taking this extra cut, this is how I am materially improving your Twitch service. We are going to use this money to fix that bug. We are going to use that money to make sure you don't get buffering. You're going to use that money to make your Twitch life the best Twitch life it could be. And I feel like we're not going to get that.
We should use that money to fix your microphone. That's what we should use that money for.
Yeah, no, we crossed the 2-hour mark when Zencastr falls apart. So I'm going to make a quick new Zencastr, and then it's going to it'll
be good on the final recording.
Well, yeah, it'll be fine on the final recording, but for the live stream here, we're gonna keep going this. I have more to say about this, but we have to take a second to do this up. This has been a bad day for this shit. This is crazy. But I'm gonna make a new one real quick. So just give me a second. And Panic, yeah, no, never mind. I was gonna suggest something, but we'll see what happens first. I'm gonna make a new Zencastr real quick.
Okay,
let's do it.
And I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Hopefully
And I'm
Panic
back.
is okay.
There we go.
Hopefully everything is fine for not more than just 4 seconds.
These are problems. These are problems we haven't had for like weeks.
A while.
Weeks.
It's all happening. But
Yeah.
where were we?
So yeah, we were just Panic was just wrapping up his thoughts on that. So for me, yeah, man. So I have some other mixed feelings about this whole thing. Step one is one of the reasons why I'm getting a little tired of Twitch's, not necessarily Twitch getting into our pockets. I'm getting tired of of how they look at things. Jeff and I are lucky in that we actually have contacts that are at Twitch and higher up in the great corporate ladder of Twitch.tv, and so we get to talk to these guys. There is a lot of mixed messages. Turn down your headphones a bit, Jeff. I'm hearing myself in your mic. We're getting a lot of mixed signals in terms of what they think a community is getting behind a streamer for. I guess for lack of a better, the support. They'll say, I've heard them say, oh, well, the reason why we don't lower the barrier for entry to get in as a partner is because most people just donate if they want to support, or they just use better Twitch TV emotes. I've heard
a slew of shit. It goes on.
A slew. It goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's unfortunate. I'm only literally thinking of one right now. But this whole fucking
we could take 2 hours to go through all of the
completely thrown me for a loop. So I'm getting tired of how they're coming out and saying we're doing this for streamers and so on and so forth. I'm also on Panic's side here, and I've been tweeting out sarcastically and stuff for like, I don't know, what feels like 4 months now. Twitch has been down, or has been down. What was once every like 3 weeks to a month, where there was an outage where people weren't being shown as live, or the streams just completely cut out, or you couldn't get to go live, and then it was every 3 weeks. Then every 2 weeks, then once a week, and now it's like every 72 hours to 24 hours. There's been what feels like times where it's happened every day. I'm sure it's not daily.
Can
but
I
it's
have
close.
a comment on that before we move on that part?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So pretty much like I work on large enterprise systems. I have at multiple companies. Like what that's telling me is that they have some like inherent flaw in how they're releasing software, or they have some reliability problems in their tech. And again, these are things they need to address, but they haven't. And the fact that they're, happening with increasing frequency, it's not just scaling, and it's not just like a lot of the things that you hear is like, oh, it's a difficult problem. Yeah, it is. But just the frequency of these problems that they're happening is just indicative that they have some inherent flaws in how they're addressing all of the tech issues. They might be rolling things out too fast, or they're not monitoring properly, because all of those issues where it's like, oh yeah, we tweet out that people aren't able to go live, they go from being a couple of people to being very widespread very quickly. And it affects the entire site for like half an hour to an hour. And it's like, really? Like, why is this happening so frequently? Like, what are you guys doing back there? It's like, are servers going down? Why? It doesn't sound like they've done as much analysis as they should have been doing. And again,
Well,
I don't
what
want to.
confused me.
I would like to. I'd love to be a fly on the wall on the data center server.
But I mean, let's be fair. It is a complicated thing. The mesh work that they're dealing with, and they had a lot of work to switch from the legacy Justin TV servers over to what we've got now and everything else. That was done a year ago. So there's no more legacy server crap going on or anything like that. And what I'm mind blown about, I'm happy that they upped the bitrate maximum to 6,000 kbs, because it was desperately fucking needed. But I'm confused as to how we managed to get that when all of this stuff is still on fire all the time. Like I feel like we should have had some stability brought in first, and then said, okay guys, we're gonna blow this site up with almost twice the available bandwidth, and at least 30% of streamers are going to hop on that regardless, and that's going to send our bandwidth through the roof. Maybe we should make sure all this shit is working better before we press the green button on that one. And when it came out, my first thought was, oh, they've improved the infrastructure to support such crazy bandwidth increases, but it's still the same issues are appearing in the exact same ways. And I'm just when that stuff's all happening, and that's core product delivery. That's not extracurricular activity shit. That is your core product. And so when they're doing that, and they're also going in for the $9.99, $24.99,
oh yeah,
and doing all this stuff, and not providing, saying even like, oh, at $9.99, no ads. It's not going to be grandfathered streams only. At $24.99, we're going to have discounts on merchandise or something. We're going to take our Teespring partnership a step further. There's so much that could be added in, and to release this program even in a beta state and say opt in, and we're going to allow you to lock out Kappa variants is one of the craziest things I could have imagined them doing.
Such a cop-out.
It's so nuts to me, and to not say how much the splits are going to be either tells me they haven't decided yet. They literally have not sat down and decided if it's going to be the same or if they're going to modify it.
I think they're going to try the same until people scream.
But here's the thing: if they change it, they've got to redo contracts. So if they redo contracts, how much work have they just made for themselves?
Well, they just do an annex, right? They'll just do it.
They can do an annex.
They'll just do
a rider.
Annex. You'll
I know, but you still
you get like a little pop up that says go sign your rider.
Yeah, that will pop up. That will pop up another like 8 times after you've already done it, like my tax form.
I think what we're all saying here is it's an exploit to get money out of the streamers. And rightfully so. It's their right to do that, and it could just
be done so much better.
It could just be done so much better. It could be done infinitely better. There could be purpose behind it. It could have been that the streamers that opt into that can do the 6K bit. It could be we make sure that emails are being sent out when you go live. It could be
or give the extra bandwidth.
It could be anything. It could be you get automatic VIP access when you go to these Twitch events and stuff like that. There could be some just some small incentives for people to feel okay with giving away so much of their income, because the way they package it is like, hey, we're giving it an opportunity for you to make more money, but anybody that's smart understands that, well, listen, chances are if somebody has $25 to spend, they're not going to do the $25 sub and then donate me $25. It's one or the other. And if it's the other, which is Twitch, I'm going to lose money. It's that simple. The only good thing about it is, and it's another cheeky way of doing things, is somebody subscribes for $24.99 and forgets that it's subbed. And then the next month you automatically get that 24 instead of that one-time donation. And they skip out. It's that whole Netflix thing and all these, like, that's why when you sign up for all these betas on these websites, Audible, first month free, and then it'll auto renew if you forget. And a lot of the times people forget, and so you get a little bit of a kickback that way. But at the end of the day, when $25 is coming out of your account, you're gonna realize pretty quick that $25 came out of your account. It's not like $4.99.
Now, just to put a cap on this topic, they've got they're expanding, or they're what's it called? Twitch,
the affiliate program.
Crap, affiliates. That's it. Twitch affiliates thing.
Oh, we're still going
now.
on this. Oh my goodness.
So they've got where now
I'm okay with the affiliate program.
So I was gonna say this is a more positive move than what we just talked about, but it's the next to anybody can become an affiliate, which I think might be they might have gone a little too far down the ladder on it, but what it means is it at least gives people, and again they're going back to the well on the emote thing, but you have, as long as you have like 3 concurrent viewers and you have 50 followers, I think that's the actual numbers, and
I think I get
a
that.
couple of other things. Yeah, you have that at least. You can become an affiliate. You can then have bits used on your channel. So it's Twitch allowing people to use bits in more places, I guess, which is nice. Money. And yes, exactly. But at least for the people that aren't at full partnership, because bits are a standard now, it does allow those people to make a few extra dollars that wouldn't have made them anyway, only because it's a standard. And they get one emote. They can actually have one emote for their name.
Can I say something here? And I'm going to throw this out. And if Twitch,
no, it's not your podcast, Jeff.
And well, I know you're in the middle of I know you're in the middle of talking, but I feel as though I can solve all of Twitch's problems in one or two sentences right now. And I know
you haven't even had a glass of wine.
I know Jordan is probably listening here, and I know that this is probably a heavy feat, but you're Amazon, so you can fucking do it. If you really want to get your hands in every one of my pockets, you want
How many pockets do you have,
hand
Jeff?
in this pocket, you want your hand in that pocket. This doesn't have. These are fake pockets. You want your hand in every area of my body. What you do is you then become PayPal. Whatever donations come in, there is a Twitch hub. There is a Twitch hub. You donate to Twitch. They get their 3%, make it a little bit more than PayPal.
Absolutely.
And then you can cash out via there, and they get their cut on every fucking cent that comes in. And we no longer have to deal with PayPal. You guarantee people no fraud. It's through Twitch. We support them. We make the same amount of money. There's no fucking bullshit emotes. There's no nothing. You just give it to everybody, and you make so much money. And if you do this, Twitch, I want a raise, and I want a check in my mail because I just made you a fuck ton of cash. Do it, and I'm opted in.
They've already thought of it.
Well, why hasn't it been done?
They just don't want to deal with that. They probably don't want to deal with that level.
They don't
come
want
on, man.
There's too much. It's
that's a lot to
liability.
take on. That's a lot to take on, liability-wise.
You're Amazon.
A lot to take on.
You're Amazon. You're Amazon. Think about the money. Think about the amount of cash that's coming in.
I agree with you.
The headache would be worth.
Think about all the accounting they have to do.
That is what bits are.
All that. Think about all that accounting they have to do to send you tax documentation and all the other paperwork they have to do.
You're Amazon.
No, I fully agree. Now they could solve some of these problems.
Also venture into becoming employee stuff too, which gets really tedious.
Bits are not at all.
Not with bits, but if they start processing all money to a content producer.
Amazon on a daily, this is the start of this podcast. The amount of shit that's been sold on Amazon, it'll make donations look like small potatoes in comparison. Small.
They are, as Jeff's right. The company that owns Twitch is Amazon. Now that doesn't mean that Amazon's going to come to the rescue of Twitch every single time something needs to happen. However, if Twitch or if Amazon wants to make their money back as fast as possible and then go past the line and start making money, period.
So printing money.
Holy shit.
Yes, this is a thing that makes sense. This was literally what I was going to bring up before. Actually, this is what I wanted to bring up before the technical thing happened, and then I completely fucking gone. But this is where they make their money. Now, like Panic said and like I said as well, there's a huge amount of liability. There are ways to get around that liability. Chargebacks is the first thing on everybody's mind, right? Fuck people. If they press the go button, no more chargebacks. You can set it up that way. This isn't a storefront.
You can make it a service.
They're not buying a currency. They're not doing bits. They're not doing anything like that. This is not. PayPal has to have it because they're a storefront of sorts, or they're a point of sale system. They don't have to set this up like a point of sale. This is literally just money in, money out. Once it crosses that barrier, you're fucked. Unless you have the greatest excuse known to fucking man.
Yep.
And odds are if it's
and you can prove it. They actually make you submit. You have to fax things and send it out. And if you don't do it within a certain time, no go. You're done.
I know it doesn't matter how much work is involved there. It will pay for itself and more, because what we've already mentioned right now, think of how many places exist where money goes through and there's a percentage cut taken from donations. People have hopped around to try and find the free ones, but even when that's not the case, there's still money going into other people's pockets that could go through Twitch's pockets instead. and nobody would really care because as long as the cut is still only like this minor 3%,
make it a
then
little
everybody's
bigger. Just a
gonna
little
be
bigger.
everybody's
can you
okay
imagine
with it.
a 1/4% more on PayPal? I would opt in a second, right? Money
Yes.
would get wired. They could wire the money right to my bank account. Everything is done.
Absolutely.
It makes it easier for accounting purposes.
here's
I don't
the
have
thing.
to worry about
Here's the
anything. They wire
Do you
that.
want that
and
money coming in
that-
once every 30 days or your payout period, or do you want that
30
coming
days.
in daily?
No, of
It doesn't
course it's not
matter.
gonna- PayPal
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
come in
yeah.
daily. You can't get your money right away. You still have
It's
to
5
cash it
days.
out.
Couple
You
of
have to
days.
wait. It's the same thing. So just when you get paid via Twitch, you can even do one deposit for your Twitch, your ad revenue, your subs, and then another via PayPal, or just commingle at everything because it's one large lump sum of money. At the end of the month, it sends you. They can tell you how much money you've made on the back end, and everything is done. Bob's your uncle. They can own the market. Listen, if this was Twitch pre-Amazon, you would never think in a million years they could do this. But they're Amazon. They're Amazon. You can do it, and I'm telling you.
They already have their own payment systems
Yes, of
in
course
place.
they do. Of course they do. They're fucking one of the biggest corporations on the planet. Of course they can do it.
They've
It'll
made it
cost
their
a lot of
job to
money.
make losses on the Amazon storefront
Oh my
since
God,
its
the amount-
inception,
the amount
and
of
only
money.
made money on their servers for the longest fucking time. And look, obviously they've thought about it. They're not stupid. This is
Well, I don't know.
obviously crossed their mind.
Maybe.
This could, for all we know, be a 5-year goal that they've laid out where they're trying to make that barrier. Now, the thing is, I think some of the problem might be by the time they get around to doing that, people are going to view it more negatively than positively. If this happened earlier on, before they did the the $9.99, the $24.99, the bits, the fucking whatever that kind of keeps coming up, and there's all these ways that Twitch is getting a cut of everybody's money, and then they come out and say something like that, it might be people go, it might be a little negative. I would still be on board so fast to have all my money coming through one place as a streamer.
Please,
that makes my
make
life
it happen.
so much fucking easier.
Make it happen.
It makes it easier for the end user. Every time that I have been asked by the boys at Twitch, what can we do to make more value? I keep saying, why is Better Twitch TV doing all the shit that you guys could be doing in like 2 months? Everything that Better Twitch TV has, you could do in no time flat. Why is it that people like Stream, what are they called? They're Streamlabs now? They combine those two companies? Streamlabs. Why in the shit are they making all of their money? Why aren't you cutting in on that? This is your business. They're a third party taking your
Streamlabs
shit.
does it?
It's not like Streamlabs is full of geniuses. You just get a bunch of guys sitting around coding their shit and they're making huge amounts of money off of something that Twitch could do in no time flat. But at the same time, and this is not to harp too much on Twitch on this, because we do
love you
as much-
guys.
we love you. We love you guys. We love you. That's why we're hard on you. They just started putting
I'm
out.
just telling the truth.
You can do better.
I think
you can do better.
You can do better, but these are also the guys that took forever to have a dark mode. These are the guys that only recently started trying to fix their UI UX, which has been absolutely bottom of the barrel shit-tastic for the longest time. And I haven't really seen I haven't been pushed that yet. I don't know if I've seen it, but the odds of it being anything short of mediocre at best for the amount of money this website makes, it would probably be bad. But you guys can do it. I believe in you. I want you to have make more money off of me, but you need to provide some fucking services, because you can't even say, well, we're hosting your stream anymore at this point, because once every 24 hours, I have to restart my stream 67 times just to get the fucking thing to go live. So there's some things here that need to be covered. Anyway,
Yep.
moving on. No more Twitch puberty. We're off of the Twitch puberty hype. We're moving on to Jeff's favorite topic, and that's movies. Jeff, we're coming up into the springtime. We're coming up into springtime. And after spring,
Yeah.
there's summer.
Yeah. So
And there's a lot of movies that are going to be released. What do you got?
I thought that this was going to be a big chunk of the second half, because I thought the other points would have been like kind of fast, and we just talked about Twitch for
We
like
want to
45
punt it to
minutes.
next week.
So we should probably save this for next
Yeah, we
week,
can punt
and
it.
we can get
Okay.
into it, because there's a lot of
There's a because
The
what I
last
wanted to
time?
talk about.
There's some big ones. There's
what
some
I
big
wanted
ones
to talk
coming out.
about is I wanted to talk about the most anticipated movies for each month for the spring and summer. I mean, it is summer movie time, blockbuster time, and I could sit here and talk for like I could talk for like 45
we
minutes.
can probably go for a bit.
On these movies, and I was just gonna talk about, kind of ask you guys because I'm gonna list off the major movies that are coming out in each month, and you guys could tell me which one of those you would be you're most anticipated to see.
Okay.
I know Adam doesn't go to the movies very often, but I know Panic would likely see a lot of these
I've
movies.
set a personal goal that any movie you watch for the podcast, I will attempt to watch the Thursday before. That's my personal goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see what
So
happens.
there you go.
So we
well,
can-
no,
we
we're
can
not
do
going
that.
to
Is
make it
there
another
any-
DLC. I mean, we're not going to get that fucking
No,
crazy. We'll
no,
just
no,
save
no,
it
no.
for
We'll
another.
just talk about it next week.
We'll
next
ponder
So
next week.
what then? Is there anything movie wise that's happened that recently?
was a slow week.
Well, we can talk about I guess I'll just throw a topic out there right now that
Sure.
we can talk about very quickly, and that is Fast and Furious, or The Fate of the Furious, number 8, the 8th installment. Adam didn't see the movie yet. I know Panic did. I saw the movie. I'm sure a lot of people here saw the movie as well.
Yeah, I think I wrote this in originally on the list to talk
You did,
about.
you did. And for those that don't know, it did have the biggest opening weekend of all time in cinematic history. It
Beat
made the
out
most
Star
money.
Wars.
Yeah, it beat out Star Wars. Obviously, there's like inflation things from like movies like Titanic or Avatar and things like that. Movie tickets are becoming more and more expensive, but generally speaking, it broke all records. Obviously, the movie did crazy well over in China. It always does well overseas. All movies, usually most movies, make
Do
more
well
money
overseas.
overseas, and that's why a lot of movies these days have set pieces in China and different places like that to really
Yeah.
cater to those markets. Or you'll see one random Chinese actor, and you're like, why the fuck is that Chinese actor there? And it's because they cater to those markets that make them the most
That's all
money.
it takes.
But I guess my question is, and I think Adam might be able to chime into some of this,
Sure.
is, and people in the comment section as well. This is a good one for people to interact in the comment section. What do you think is the best Fast and Furious out of all of 8 of them, if you've seen them all? And also, do you agree with the direction that the franchise has taken? Because it's no longer a race movie, although they do nods to the old school Fast and Furious. Obviously, we had 1 and 2, which were great. Number 3, Tokyo Drift, which is kind of like a cult thing. Some people really love. It mind boggles me that when people say Tokyo Drift's their favorite, and if one of your guys' is, I'd love to hear why. But then some people say the franchise got worse after Tokyo Drift, and then there are people like me that actually enjoy the franchise more now than I ever did, in different ways. But generally speaking, it is, in my opinion, a better franchise now, and I'll get into why. But my question is, what's your favorite Fast movie, and do you like the direction that they've gone? I'll start with Panic.
Honestly, I'm disappointed that they drifted away from like the original movies, but at the same time, I also don't care because they're good movies either way. Again, I'm not expecting some amazing, thing. I'm expecting a good popcorn movie with good action, really nice cars, and all of it. Despite them kind of moving away from the roots and kind of changing the focus of the movies, it still has everything I was expecting there to be from the first movies. Instead of races, you have chases, and various other small changes here and there. And they know why they're making the movies, and they've always been cognizant of who their audience is, and that awareness is great. So for me, I wasn't expecting anything, super revolutionary, and every single Fast movie I've gone to, I've had a good time, and that's what I'm going to the movies for. So, favorite one I'm going to say is probably Fast 7, though. Out of all of them, obviously there was the Paul Walker nostalgia factor and all of that, but just overall, I really enjoyed that movie. I do watch it still periodically out of all the Fast movies, just for even the send off at the end.
Yeah.
Just really great filmmaking for that last segment.
Yep, amazing director for that movie too.
Oh yeah.
Just really, really good. What about you, Adam?
I like the first one the most out of all of them. I like You said to Tokyo Drift. I like Tokyo Drift a lot, but not.
I did too.
Because I like it because, one, I like Han as a character. He's my favorite character in the entire series.
I think we'll see him again.
Yeah, so Han's my favorite character. So that plays into it. But it was super flashy, and it was like I'm not even a tuner guy. I don't really like tuner cars all that much, to be completely honest with you. But it was just done well. There's something about Tokyo. I don't even know what the fuck it is. I'm sitting here trying to think of like what it was I liked about Tokyo Drift. And I don't know, but I did like it a lot. I just think that it was, that it was relatively well done. The acting was, by a couple of characters, really bad, but it was still fun, a very fun movie, and it still had cars.
So family.
The family thing is whatever. The family thing was a spin for them to be able to move away from cars.
They were running out of race stories they could do.
But that's part of it. So I really liked the first one because it had the family thing. It had cars. It was still about the cars, car culture. It touched on a little bit of the tuner thing, but it also had the muscle thing. So I'm a bit of a car guy, so it really hit on a lot of points for me. I thought that the story was probably the best in the first one out of all of the movies in the franchise. And of course, it's the first one, so you always had some throwback. Well, for me, the first movie, I'm okay with saying that I liked the story. I didn't, none of these movies are Oscar-worthy fucking, shit. But the first one was one of the only movies that actually had a storyline.
In the first movie. Yeah, there's more to do.
I just thought it was,
they're introducing everybody. Yeah,
it was good. I just really liked it. I liked 7 for the fact that the Paul's thing was in there. It was the most impactful thing that the series ever had. But then again, how could it not be impactful? Paul Walker fucking died, and they did a send-off of the century for him, so of course it was going to be impactful. As for how I feel about the direction of the series, I don't like it, but I still go watch them because they're fun to watch. I understand why they aren't about the cars anymore. There's only so many stories that you can do that it would involve racing over and over and over again, as much as I would like to see that. So now it's about family and about blowing up everything in as many ways as possible, and about taking a 70s Charger and strapping it with military plating and then sending it off to the fucking Arctic Circle to do battle with a goddamn submarine. So, that's fun to watch, but it's so dumb. But that's what makes it good anyway, I guess, in current form. But I just wish that they could have found a way to make it more about, to still have the car junkie stuff in there somehow. I just wish that was possible. I don't think it is, but I wish it was possible.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess.
So, and yeah, Panic, I was going to mention that too. So, I know a lot of people in chat, when I said I think Han will come back, of course, he died in the movie, but it's Fast and Furious. I mean, other people have died and have come back. And also it's Fast and Furious, and it is rumored that we will see Han again. I don't want to say too much because I don't really want to spoil anything for number 8, although I feel as though
outside of 8, they've been wanting to expand on the Tokyo Drift line.
Exactly.
Like they've been wanting to keep it going, so that's the other angle.
Let's put it this way, guys. There's a good probability, and also since Jason Statham's character is working with the team, who ultimately was the one responsible for Han's death, I think we're gonna see Han, and of course they're making 10 of these movies. Number 9 is already announced. There was a big drama between The Rock and Vin Diesel. They were not on screen together at all in number 8. They had no screen time together. There was one scene in particular where they had interaction, but they weren't actually on screen together.
There's separate cuts.
Yep, and there's a reason for it. They did not like each other. Both of them are alphas, and apparently they were fighting with each other over screen time on the way that their characters were portrayed. One wanted to look tougher than the other, and it was just like a big head. But beyond that, my thing here is I actually think Tokyo Drift is the worst one out of all of them. And the reason is...
It's worse than 2?
Yes. It's worse than
2
all
is
of them.
bad.
It's worse than all of them. You've got, in Tokyo Drift, you've got like the main character that talks with this weird hick accent that is just overly thick. You've got little Bow Wow. It was a glorified music video. It was the worst rated. It did the worst in box office out of all of them by almost double. It did 80.
Also during sequel phase.
It did $84 million worldwide. Oh, that's it for adjusted inflation. Okay, it did on opening weekend. It did $62 million, and the Fate of the Furious did opened up at a 124 million. Or no, that's not open. That's gross. Okay, so yeah, it's number 8 in the list. 158 million in total. The next one up is 207 million, and it goes all the way up to Fast 7, which is 1.5 billion. Obviously, that was because Paul Walker's death. People wanted to see, the conclusion, and then also how well they did with that. Obviously, people resaw the movie in theater. I was even tempted to go see it a second time because it was just...
Apparently, they just came out at IMAX, too, recently. Like, they did a delayed IMAX launch.
So it is number 8 in terms of revenue. It's number 8 in terms of rating. It didn't have all of the gang. Obviously, Han was a great character, and he was the saving grace of the movie. It's watchable, but it isn't on that level. My favorite out of all of them is Fast 4, which is Fast. I think it was just called Fast and Furious, and that was the
5,
one,
wasn't it?
It might have been 5. What was?
It was like the Fast and the Furious, or it was Fast and Furious.
No, I think Fast 5 was actually called Fast 5. Let me get a list here. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it was called Fast 5. So number 4.
They got weird.
Yeah, number 4. Number 4 is Fast and Furious. I'm pretty Fast and Furious. That was my favorite one, mainly because they introduced The Rock. And I feel as though, and I know so, the entire franchise shifted when The Rock was on board with these movies. Was it Fast 4 or Fast 5 The Rock came in?
It had to, because it's The Rock.
It might have been Fast 5 where The Rock came in. There's so many of them, right? It was Fast 4 or Fast 5.
I don't fucking know.
Fast 5?
It's all one
there it
big
is.
movie
Okay,
now.
Fast 5. All right, Fast 5. I just looked. I just looked it up. It's Fast 5, so I stand corrected. Fast 5 is my favorite because The Rock was introduced, and he just I'm going to say it. He electrified the franchise. I had to.
He electrified the millions and millions.
He definitely
They smelled what he was cooking.
Oh, and it was great. It was the new big alpha. It was somebody that the fight between him and Vin Diesel at the end was great. He
brought an oomph back to the series.
He really did, because it was kind of fallen flat. It was like it was still serving its purpose, but it had no real direction. And then when The Rock came in, it really spiced the whole franchise up, and that's when it went from it being really street racing to a heist movie, into an action-packed movie. And I'm totally okay with this. I actually prefer Fast and Furious from 4 up, but I'll say 5 up because of The Rock. I like the direction because, like what Adam said earlier, there's only so much you can do with street racing. I mean, we've seen it. And people will cry and say, well, I remember when Fast and Furious was all about the cars. And it was all, yes, and it still is to an extent. I mean, there's beautiful cars in there. They always have a couple of scenes where you've got Ludacris's nerdy character and the girl character. They're doing their nerdy spec things. And like, oh yeah, with 503 horsepower and 700 pounds of torque, and the fucking V8 twin turbo or charged engine. And they go through all the things, and you're like, yeah. And they they're doing these nice, sexy panoramic views. That's great. And they do those nods to that. And then also in Fast 8, obviously they opened up the movie with the big race scene, which was great. And it was different than what we've seen in other racing fast races. They did something a little bit different there without spoiling exactly what it was. But I love the fact that they are trying to one up themselves. They were this serious racing, pink slips, it's give me your pink slips, motherfucker. Like, this is your life, bro. They always got these Latinas that are like, they're drop downs and they're bouncing. And you got the hot girls with their booty shorts on and shit like that. That was cool. And that was cool 15 years ago when I was a 15-year-old and I drove a 1991 Honda Civic hatchback with a fucking, tinted windows and a pipe and a fucking, I thought I was Fast and Furious. That was cool. But now, the audience has matured quite a bit. Obviously, the cars have gotten much nicer. And the technology now in terms of cars, you don't really need to soup up cars anymore. I mean, cars that you buy stock now are pretty fucking crazy. The cars that they have in the movies, they just weren't the cars that they had back 15 years ago. Sure, you had some really amazing cars, but come on. I mean, now you don't need to do MTV's Pimp My Ride for every car and show off the fucking ground lights and, the fish bowls that you have in the back of your seats. You don't need that. So I like the fact that they've done that, and obviously the audience likes it too because the franchise has gone up. It's now $1 billion a movie franchise. They're making billions of dollars off this.
They're going to keep printing the money.
They're literally printing money, and it's done. They're on number 8 here, and we're not sick of it. And how many franchises can you say that? You look at something like Saw, and you're sick of Saw movies. You've seen it. They didn't up the scale. They didn't change the story. They didn't go in a different direction.
I just want to see how
like
they can jump the shark for number 9. That's what I want to see. How far they can jump the shark.
They'll do it.
Will they literally jump a shark?
They probably will. And you see something like Transformers. You're tired of Transformers. You're just tired of it. You're done. You're done. You're like, I don't want to do this. But I'm gonna go and do this.
When you had a full cast switch over in a movie, it's time to call it quits.
We love Fast and Furious because of the characters, the interaction between the characters. And although I felt like in 8 it wasn't as good, and maybe that is because Paul Walker wasn't there. There was something missing, but I still think they did a very good job at entertaining me. They upped the scale. They did some crazy shit. And I'm all for these Fast and Furious franchises. I think they should end at 10 where they're planning on it, and then what Panic said at the end, do spin-off movies where they can get back to the ground roots, focus on 1 or 2 characters and their stories, or even prequels. We were supposed to get a Hobbs prequel, like The Rock, how all his story began, or have them have children. Never mind, I almost spoiled something there. Have them have children and show them in spin-off movies and get back to the racing. Watch them grow as a race as a pink slip collector. You can get back to the roots. But now I think if they went back to the racing, they're going to go. It's like they're taking 20 steps backwards because you only can do so much, and they've been upping the scale each time. That I think if they made a more grounded film that was about the street races, it would have to be done in a standalone movie, and they can continue to just keep doing small nods to the franchise in terms of the races and give us that, but also up the scale in terms of action and character.
I think Fast and the Furious has 2 movies left in it without doing spin-offs, and it's fucked. I think some franchises. Some franchises have a slow roll off where it takes a few movies before people start to for it to happen. I think because the Fast and the Furious movies have been doing the whole up the on-screen batshit crazy. On movie, pretty soon this is going to be like Call of Duty where suddenly we have to go to space to get any crazier. Like now we're going to be doing fucking like Tokyo Drift around the rings of Saturn. Like I think for this franchise without spin-offs to put a bigger distance between the release dates of the mainline stuff where we're getting the crazy, I think that it's going to be like one of those things where you wake up in the morning one day and go, you know what? I'm done with Fast and the Furious. It's going to be a suddenly, light switch.
You
It's
wake
not
up, you
going
look
to be
in the mirror, and it's just done.
Yeah, it's not going to be a movie comes out and it's, oh, it didn't quite hit 1 billion, and then the next one, and oh, it didn't quite hit 750. I think it's literally going to be a switch happens, and the masses are going to go, nah. I think this is good now. I think we've had it. And just because that's the route they've taken, where it's just one-upping themselves with the crazy over and over and over again. Now, if they do spin-offs, I think that, and space them out, the mainline stuff out, I think that gives them a little bit more leeway. I think it allows people to have a breather and go, oh, okay, yeah, show me Hobbs, and how he got to where he was, or, oh, show me Han before all this stuff happened, or whatever you wanted to do with that. Show me these backstories, and like you said, get back to the roots, because when you go back to the roots, the paces of these movies go way down. We go from doing 300 mile an hour back to a solid 60, and most people are probably not going to be too upset about that. Are they going to be? Yeah, exactly. I need a Toyota Corolla for a bit. I don't. Obviously, those spin-offs are unlikely to do the $1 billion fucking mark the other ones are, but they'll be able to reduce the budget on them a bit and still make good money off of those spin-offs. And still allow them to maybe stretch.
They're not going to kill it. They're not killing golden goose.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you,
stretch this further.
Well, Fast 9 comes out in 2019, and Fast 10 comes out in 2021. So by the time 2021 comes out, we'll see what happens. But I'm going to guarantee you right now, when the movies are still making $1 billion a movie, they will make more.
Oh
Fast
no! I'm not saying they're going to stop.
And
but I'm saying it's going to be a steep drop.
I don't think so, and I think, and the reason is normally I would say yes if this was, I don't know, fucking, what other franchise can I think of? Maybe The Matrix or something like that, where there's this story, and how far can you push this story, or whatever the case may be. When it comes to mindless action and mindless fun at the theater, there is a massive core amount of people that will go to the movie theater regardless if the movie is upping or it is staying the same or it's gone downhill. Sure, box office may get affected a little bit, but something this big, it is going to last as long as they want it to last. And I think the only way that this does those drops is if Vin Diesel is never going anywhere. This is his baby. I mean, he produces it. This is what keeps him an A-list actor.
Racing fucking real wheelchairs and
he'll be a grandfather. He'll be a
yeah.
grandfather in the fucking driving seat.
Yeah.
I think the only time that this franchise falls off in any kind of drastic way. When I say falls off, I mean going from a $2 billion movie, $1.5 billion movie to like $700 million. Is if, say, The Rock is like, I'm done. I'm done with this, or 2 or 3 of them are like, I'm not getting paid enough, I'm done, I'm out, or I'm tired of this. That is when I can see it really tanking if they decided to keep going forward with it. I think at that point it would be a good opportunity for them to do the spin-off movies and still make a shit ton of money off the Fast name. But I really feel like when 9 and 10 drop, which I guarantee they'll be $1 billion movies, guaranteed. If they continue to be at the $1 billion club, because that's the thing in Hollywood, $1 billion club, that's the mighty. If you're not a $1 billion movie, you're not a mega successful movie, because it's so easy now to get $1 billion. I feel like they're gonna continue the franchise. They're gonna continue the franchise. They'll maybe get a new set of directors, maybe a new set of writers. They'll do a little spin on it, maybe add new characters. But you see movies like The Expendables. I guess that's a really good one to compare it to. You got The Expendables. You got The Expendables 2. You've got these Expendable movies which have been kind of going downhill because certain characters aren't showing up. They're not upping the stakes. It's sort of the same shit all the time. And you don't really have that attachment like you did many years ago. It's kind of like that thing that we said with Nintendo, where Nintendo can come out with a Zelda or Mario game. People are going to go fucking buy it. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what. It's kind of the same loyalty
with this Fast and the Furious franchise, or even a Harry Potter, you know, when they do these spin-offs, or if Harry Potter said we're going to make another trilogy, I mean, this shit is people are going to go out there and they're just going to support things that they've been supporting.
It's not like
for years.
gangbusters.
Yeah. So I'm with you though to an extent, Adam. I believe that they will eventually see a hit, but I still think that it's going to be so successful that there's no way that they can say no to the money. It would be amazing if they did 10 and ended it. And they said, you know what? We have been we did 10 movies. What kind of franchise can you think of that has done this? Like
they're going to ride it.
The money's going up. I mean, the money, they just broke the fucking opening box office record of all time. The money is like fucking shooting. That's after Paul Walker's death. It's crazy. So if they have the balls,
the sad thing is, though, they're never just going to stop. They're just going to write it down to that $100 million movie again.
I'll be mind fucked. I say, Hollywood, you've outdone yourself. Congratulations. You've just done something that nobody else has done. You've created a great franchise. You've made a boatload of money, and now you're going to make $500 million off spinoffs.
They're going to wait. They're going to wait the 20 years and then reboot it.
And reboot the whole fucking thing, 100%. They might even wait 10 years. Fuck 20. They don't wait that long.
Dude,
these days.
20 years is too long these days. Now you're going to be like
2030, it'll be back.
You wait 5 years, like, well, shit, time to bring it back. It's been too long.
Yeah, that's my take on the Fast franchise. I'm still enjoying it. Yeah, it did feel a little weird with Paul there, but it was still as enjoyable, to be honest. And that's nothing against Paul Walker. I mean, he was never a great actor. He wasn't a good actor. Like but it was. You grew
but he's
up
just such a likable dude.
He is. He's
a likable dude.
But let's be real. The Rock has much more charisma, and he's more charismatic, and he comes off as more of a likable dude on screen. But it's and this isn't like me trashing on Paul Walker. I'm saying that the franchise obviously wasn't as affected by him not being there, and that speaks volumes to how connected people are to the franchise to have basically the star or one of two stars. It was Vin and Paul. To have him not there anymore and it's still succeeding the way it is. We all wish he was still in the films and he was great to watch on screen. But it just goes to show that even if they lose one guy, you know, Jason Statham no longer wants to do it, I still think they're fine. And especially if they bring in Han, you know, here we go again.
Jason, I'm gonna be honest with you. Jason Statham could drop out of that movie. It wouldn't change.
Well,
dick.
when you see number 8, he has the best scene in the movie, and when you see number 8, I'm
a little biased because I don't like Jason Statham in general, but that's whatever. Ladies, let's move on to tech support. Let's wrap this bad boy. You know what I'm calling this podcast? You owe me a 3-hour cast. We're making a Fast and the Furious joke on this bad boy because we are crossing thresholds on this cast. So moving on to tech support, where we answer your questions, and by yours I mean you still have to pay us money. So $10 or more on Patreon nets you the ability to ask us questions on Patreon once a week. We call the segment tech support. We pick a couple to answer, and as soon as we hit that $5,000 mark on Patreon, that becomes an extended segment for additional content both on the RSS feeds and on YouTube, where we will answer even more questions outside of our weekly podcast. Mm-hmm. As always, I will be asking both of these gentlemen one apiece to give us a question, and we will start with Panic because he's usually the one with the screen up first.
Good call, because I don't have mine up.
Oh man, I think I'm gonna go with a more generic one. There are some other ones here. I'm gonna go with Soft Shoe, who posed the question: which ended or canceled TV show would you like to see more episodes of, and why that one?
That sounds like a Firefly bait.
It is a Firefly.
I wasn't a huge fan of Firefly, and I think
I wasn't even going to say Firefly.
I watched it down the road,
Yeah.
I've seen better, but you know I can see why people love it.
I'll let you guys go. I'll let you guys go first because I know I have one, but there's another one I'm trying to think of. So if you guys have something, I'll let you guys go first.
There was a show on NBC called Life. It had Damian Lewis. He's in the home front. But like he was pretty much like a cop that was framed. He went to jail. They found out, like they all solved it. He ended up getting like a huge, massive settlement from the city and becoming like rich. And then he part of it was he wanted his dignity back. He wanted his like name cleared, and he wanted his rank and title and everything restored at the NYPD. So he like became a cop again. And it was actually like it was one of those standard procedural shows, but it was just very unique and well done at the time. I kind of wish they didn't cancel it so unceremoniously. But that's my show.
I've never seen it, so I can't really chime in. Sounds
It's
cool.
on. It was on Netflix periodically.
Oh man, it's tough because I would say True Detective, but it's still on. But I would want True Detective with the same.
We just pretend.
We pretend that number 2 didn't happen, and rumor is that they are coming back for the 3rd season, which is going to revolve around them. So I don't know, but I can't say that because it's still on the air. That'd be cheating.
Dude, season one so fucking good.
It's like the best. It's some of the best TV.
It's best
I've ever
TV.
seen.
I think it's. I personally, it's my top TV. Yeah.
It's top 3. It's definitely top 3 of all time.
Yeah.
For just that season. I'm gonna go ahead and say, man, killing me here, bro.
I've got one that I'm not concerned about either of you guys coming up with.
All right, go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it because I need another.
You go.
minute.
All right, so the first one that I'd love to see, Freaks and Geeks, which is a throwback and 3/4.
That's a great one.
That only had one season.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a really fucking good show, and it boggles my mind that show got canceled after one season. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. I want more Freaks and Geeks in my life. Unfortunately, we're 30 years past the point where that would make any sense, but Freaks and Geeks was fucking awesome, and I remember watching it, finding it on Netflix, watching it, and when I got to the end and found out that there was no second season or no follow-up, I was
rough.
freaking salty. I imagine I was as salty as all the Firefly folks out there were with how that show got canned. But Freaks and Geeks, absolutely incredible. That was pretty good. The one that I'm going to say is also a bit of a cheat, but I'll give some reasoning for it. Arrested Development. Arrested Development is my favorite TV comedy of all time, outside of Whose Line Is It Anyway, which is a sketch comedy, so it's not quite the same thing. Arrested Development is probably some of the smartest TV comedy to have ever existed. So funny. It was when Michael Cera was still acceptable because he hadn't played that exact same role in 150,000 other places. And it got weird. As fun as it was when Fox told them that it was game over and they started breaking the fourth wall and like shitting on Fox in the episodes, it was absolutely incredible. But I would have, it would have been just as nice to be able to have them continue that show without that happening. Because when they came back years later and did the Netflix thing, it wasn't the same. You fall out of step.
You can tell
it's
they were
kind of
trying to do the nostalgia thing again.
Exactly. And I feel like if it was just run its course naturally, it would have been much better. And I still think some of the funniest TV that's ever been done is Arrested Development, without question.
Yeah. Well, I'm still sticking to my guns about True Detective because season 2 just doesn't exist. But if I have to choose one that is no longer on air, and some people, it's tough between two, and I'm gonna get flack for either one that I say. I was gonna say Breaking Bad, but I don't want to see any more. I want to see more of it because I loved it so much, but they ended it right at the right time, and they may have even dragged it.
I think it was. I think
too long.
one. Yeah, I was gonna say one season less would have been good.
I don't even think one season. I think like half a season.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think there was part of a season that I just didn't like. It wasn't even the last season, but some of it was just kind of dragged on. But if I had to choose, and I know that there's people out here that are probably going to shit on me, and I'm only saying this because I'm backed in a corner and I haven't had a whole lot of time to think about this.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Lost. Now, the reason why I'm saying Lost is I know the show went on for a long time. I know the ending was a shit show. But I would love to see not the same characters, but I would like to see the same concept. Call it Lost,
but with totally different characters and a totally different setting. There's something about
So you want to
the
reboot?
the experience that I had watching Lost was amazing. And I didn't watch it when my ex-girlfriend and her parents used to watch it like every week. It was like a religion to them, like us with Game of Thrones. And that was the Game of Thrones of like 20 years ago. It was just the show. And
Sure,
I never
it was,
got.
Yeah, it was. Was that a Bruckheimer? Was that a Bruckheimer production?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. But it was the Game of Thrones of its time.
Yeah.
And I never got into it. So I got into it after everything was done. And I remember binge watching it, and it serviced itself well for binge watching because at the end of every episode,
it was one of the first shows I
it was
watched.
it was a cliffhanger. It was the very first show I ever binged. Period.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. There were so many episodes. It just developed. Now, if I was watching it on a week-to-week basis, man, I think it would actually.
Nuts.
It would drive me crazy. It would amplify the experience. I can see why people couldn't wait for the shit to happen. But the reason why I say it was because of all the mystery, and it was almost like I was part of. It was almost like I was trying to solve these things, and I felt engaged. It was like Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad are just amazing television to watch. It's almost. Game of Thrones is like borderline cinematic. I mean, it's something that you could watch like in the theater, but in your house. If you put surround sound, you're watching that on a 65-inch screen. It's better than being in the theater. It's
Sounds
amazing.
like me.
It's me. It's amazing. Breaking Bad was just some amazing writing. Bryan Cranston just transcended in that role. He became a star. I mean, he was always kind of a household name because of Malcolm in the Middle, but he really wasn't at the same time. He became a movie star, literally, even though it was TV. Like he started, I wouldn't even say maybe a movie star, but when he was in a movie, people were going to the theater to watch the shit he was in because of this character, and he was getting offered big roles because of this. So that really did great things for him. But with Lost, I was part of the journey, and that is something that I don't get anymore in TV. I haven't watched a show where I felt like I was on the edge of my seat. I've been on the edge of my seat, but it was more of me trying to. I was thinking at the end of every episode, and I was looking in all different areas of the screen, trying to figure out what it was. I would pause parts of the show and rewind it to look at a frame again, and it was like I was Sherlock Holmes, and I was the one doing the investigating. And it was, sure, it was far-fetched, and it got really like they didn't even know where they wanted to go with it. They were just making it up as it went. But I would love to have that experience again with new characters, and maybe not on an island. Maybe we're on a fucking, on a boat somewhere. Maybe we're in the jungle. Maybe we're on Mars. Maybe we're on a planet where we go to space, and we're on a planet we have no idea, and you're now discovering Mars and what is on there, and all these mysteries. And I think that would be an amazing concept. It would get me excited, and for those reasons, I'm saying Lost. I know I'll have some.
So
haters,
that sounds less like something that you would want to have extended, and more like something that you would have rather have seen just taken in a different direction or done slightly differently in its time, right? Like you love the show. You don't want to see it continue necessarily from the point where it was, but you would have liked it tackled differently than it was at the time.
You want it re-envisioned or
I'm even okay with how
it.
it ended. I've accepted that, and it is what it is. But I would like to see the Lost, like literally call it Lost, on Mars or Lost on whatever planet. And have a new set of characters and a new
mysteries
and be gone.
In the same vein, then I'll pose this just because this is, I don't give a fuck how long this has gone at this point. This is a sick podcast. This is the greatest podcast we've ever fucking done, boys. Except for the fact that everything fell apart twice, but that's okay. We're gonna fucking let that go. I'm gonna expand on this a little bit, because you piqued my interest, Jeff. Are there concepts or are there things that haven't hit the small screen yet that you would love to see be a TV show And would you like it to be like a regular TV show? Would you like it to be a Netflix special? Because there's different ways of doing TV now, right? So are there
I've already
things
mentioned
like
this. I've mentioned this before, and we can make it a topic. Obviously not next week because we have a big movie list to go through. Like, that's gonna be a big fucking chunk. But I would love to see Quentin Tarantino make a series on Netflix or preferably HBO, and have him use his creative genius to have one focused story for 6 to 10 episodes, and he could make it absolutely incredible. His 3-hour cinematics are amazing. To certain people that aren't into his dialogue and stuff, they do seem a little long and maybe boring to some people. But to people like me that really enjoy filmmaking, not only cinematography, not only screenwriting, acting, everything, Quentin Tarantino embodies everything that I love about filmmaking, and he just you give this man 10 hours of time to tell a story opposed to 3 in a movie, because a lot of his films are actually a lot longer than the 3 hours, or he writes like novels and then he condenses it, and then he goes and makes a movie. I think if he were to write an amazing story, and I think we're going to see this, and he even talked about it when he was talking about, because he only wants to do, I think he said he only wants to do like 10 movies and then be done with it or something like that. He wants to stop making movies at 10. And The Hateful Eight was his 8th film, and it was absolutely fucking incredible.
Did you do the full experience where you watched it with like the full like original like film prints that he had? And everything? It was so good. The roadshow.
Yep, I watched it. The way that it was. I mean, the way he filmed it. He filmed it on old film. It had those cracks and pops that old film did. You could see like the little watermark or like the little circle up in the corner.
Beautiful.
It was just things like that, and to most moviegoers, they're bored with that because there's not this crazy action and all this other nonsense, and I get that. But to people like me that really enjoy that shit, it's fucking glorious. And if you could do a 10 episode on HBO, I wouldn't watch any of it. I'd just binge it all. I would let it run, and then I would just watch it, and I would love every minute of it. So that's where I'm at. That's what I would love to see.
Okay, what about you, What about you, Picnic? What do you got?
I don't really like. I go for movies for one thing, and I go for TV for others. And I feel like getting even a majority of the filmmaking techniques in a TV show, it would be overwhelming because I'm not the type who watches a TV show every week.
Oh, I'm not saying convert movies to TV. I'm just saying, is there an
idea or something?
An idea, or like it could be a book series. Like, it could be anything like that you would like to see in that format.
I don't even know at this point. It's too deep a question for me. I'm like overthinking and second guessing myself on it. I would need more time.
Wheel of Time is apparently happening.
Wheel of Time has been apparently happening for like 7 years. So
somebody actually ponied up the money here, just like the last 24 hours or some shit like that.
And Wheel of Time is something that can long run on TV, but there's a lot of dead space and filler in the middle. So yeah, I guess it would be perfect for TV.
I know. I'll say my thing before we do the next question and we wrap this bad boy up. But personally, I have a couple of things. I've one that I'd like to see a movie, and it's just because I'm on this hype right now. I want to see Myst done in a movie because I think Myst in a movie makes the most sense. I think it'd be awesome.
In a movie?
Yes, I think it'd be
puzzles in the movie.
No. Anybody who's read the books know that the puzzles were just a fucking way to make the game a game. If you read the books, there is 100%. There's movie material in the stuff that happens before the Myst games because there's 2 books that happen.
Stuff.
I think even before, like there's a ton of stuff in there that make great movies. But the thing that I would like to see a TV show is another thing that started as a book turned into a game. And that's Arthur C. Clarke's Rama series. I think would be awesome for TV. But I'd like to see a Netflix type deal. I want it to have a certain amount of episodes. I don't want it to go like 7 fucking years worth of shit.
Order,
no, I want to see maybe like a a two-parter, 10 episodes apiece, where they do stuff from Rama, because space is a big thing right now. Space exploration. The beauty of Rama is that it's a little bit of both. It's the it's alien stuff passing through, but we're meeting them halfway. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Rama that's, even for its time that it was written, it was super ahead of everything else, and I think would do fucking awesome in a shorter Netflix series.
I could see that one. I could even see Mist as a TV show if it was done right.
Yeah.
I don't know about a movie. I don't know if anybody's really gonna run out and watch that. But I think for a TV show, I think it would lend itself. You know, even if it was each episode, you know, they were kind of like Maze Runner type thing where they're going. You know, puzzles is part of the thing, but obviously they would need a story. But yeah, I'm with you on your second pick.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into the second one. This one is from Travis Blunt, or I think it's Blunt or Blowant, something like that, who is a $10...
420 blaze it. Can we just legalize weed so that pot smokers don't have anything to talk about anymore? Can we just do that?
We can talk about weed legalization on another podcast.
That'll be a short conversation for me.
So yeah, Travis, who is a $10 supporter, so thank you. This one is directed to basically Adam and I, and maybe even Panic can chime in on what he thinks is best as well. Outside of StarCraft content, which has been outside of StarCraft content, I got to put my glasses on. I'm sorry, guys.
Old man Jeffrey.
Yeah, I know. Outside of your StarCraft content, what has been your favorite and most fun to produce? I really enjoy all of Jeff's playthroughs, Dark Souls / Bloodborne games. The split between Adam and Jeff with Saints Row was outstanding. Thanks for taking my question, guys. So the main question is, Adam, and I guess I'll start with you, is what was your favorite outside of StarCraft? What is or was your favorite content to produce that we have done together to date?
Together? Okay, because you mentioned some solo stuff there, I guess. But together, we'll keep it for the LAGTV stuff then.
The split,
I guess, makes the most sense.
Okay, yeah, because it threw me off because he said the split between Adam and Jeff St. Rose. Because I thought maybe
I'll give a double answer. I'll give the stuff that I
We've already gone so long now. Just give a triple answer. Why? Right?
Fuck it, just answer everything. For LAGTV, I guess if I had to pick something that wasn't StarCraft, the favorite content I did, I mean, I enjoyed doing pretty much any of the co-op stuff that we did. I think I had the most fun when we were just playing completely random games. It wasn't like it certainly. I had fun with Minecraft. I had the shit fun with Resident Evil 5, where it was just one of the shittiest games of all time. You know, whatever. But when we were just playing completely random nonsense, I think I had the most fun with that. I think the most fun I had with us two doing anything in the same room was you playing through Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus. I just
laughed so fucking hard.
That was a fun night.
We can thank the Taker for a rip there, bud meme for the good laughs on that one.
That was a fun night, and that was like
that was fun.
That was like us. That was the closest thing to the embodiment of LAGTV that we've ever been. I mean, that
probably
was quite literally what we were
closest.
When we were 15 years old. That was actually it. That right there, that playthrough right there. And you know what we should do it. That entire playthrough is on my channel. I could take that whole thing and we can release, because we could actually release that whole playthrough on LAGTV, because I mean it's got a couple thousand views on my channel. I'm sure there is a shit ton of people that on the stream listening to this podcast that have never watched that, and it is, in terms of chemistry, in terms of laughter, in terms of stories. I mean, we talked, interact with chat, the works. I mean, it's all there, and it's a great fucking game. I think that would be another DLC opportunity.
You
let's just get the first DLC done before we talk about number 2. But yeah, I would say that's probably it for the LAGTV side of things. And for me personally, I get the most enjoyment out of doing my game reviews. I guess as game reviews, I did like for a time doing my fast forward series that I only applied to Dark Souls, because after that it was so much editing. I was like, what the fuck am I doing with this?
Yeah.
But it did very well and people really enjoyed it, so that was fun. But my reviews that I still do now, #sellout, go on over to warcouncil.tv where I post all my written and video reviews, and they're pretty fucking fire. I have to say, it's one of the few things that I will blow smoke up my own ass for, is that my reviews are pretty good. So those I have a lot of fun with, because it's going back to what I did before LAGTV existed. That was literally what I was doing for online content before the day Jeff walked in the door and said, let's do YouTube. It was me reviewing video games. So it allows me to do that, and people support it. It gives me stuff on GameWisp. There are people that say, hey, I want to see you review games. So here, take some money and then get the reviews out, and then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to buy the game based on whether or not you think it's good. So it's nice to have a crossover, something that I enjoy doing and the community enjoys, and are willing to support me with. So that's probably my favorite solo endeavor. But what about you, Mr. Black?
My favorite thing that we've ever done outside of StarCraft, of course, trumps it. I mean, the StarCraft is the GOAT. The whole when cheese fails shit is just, obviously, that's number one. But since we're doing it outside of number one, I'm going to go and say the podcast. This right here.
Oh, shit. I didn't even think about that. That didn't even cross my mind to include this, because we're in the middle of doing it right now. But yeah, that's very true.
This right here is by far the most enjoyable. The only structure that I have in my life right now is Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's one of the few things that we commit to with no excuses. And of course, Panic is here as well. There's the three of us, but obviously this stemmed off of what we've managed to accomplish for the last 6 years. This by far is the show for me. I've always wanted to be able to talk about whatever without the constraint, and we've always done it, but I've always
just
wanted to do
format.
it in this kind of format. I want to be able to argue with you like I did earlier. I want to be able to laugh. I want to be able to, get mad. I want to be able, I want all those, because it's real. It's not scripted. It's not prepared. I mean, we have a little bulletin on what we want to talk about, but it's freeing. I guess that's the best way I can put it. There's no, and the best part about it all is that it's being supported, which is reinforcement that, we are doing something right. We're on the right track. And that's probably my favorite thing. And I can, if this grows to be something bigger, or if it doesn't, but if it does grow to be something bigger and it does become more of a full-time thing, which I think would be a dream.
It'd be awesome, yeah.
I think that this would even trump what we did in StarCraft. I think the only thing with StarCraft that this doesn't have is StarCraft, and it's much longer. Obviously, there's a lot more history there because it's years opposed to going on 2 months. But I think that this has the ability to be able to even surpass that sort of thing. But it's one foot at a time. So yeah, that would definitely be my pick. Of course, we've had some memorable things. The Mario Kart thing was a lot of fun trolling you, and that was great.
Fucking
good
Choco
laughs,
Mountain.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. We've done things like Minecraft, but I mean, even Minecraft got old for us, and we kind of phoned it in for a while, and those things. But things like this is like something that can always be fresh, and there's always things to debate, and there's always
things to talk about. So this is definitely number one. In terms for me on content that I've done personally, it's a toss-up. I'm going to kind of throw it into them being the same. My favorite content to produce, or not even to I think even to produce, would be my movie reviews. Movie reviews for me, I also think I'm pretty good at doing it. I know a lot more about movies than I do video games. Even though I do play video games for a living, you would think that my second job or my main job would be like a movie critic. Although I'm not, I don't really have that criticky type, jaded, moviegoer type thing. I still go as a movie fan. I never go to the movies as a critic. But I obsess of movies. That's what I do for my escape. Before this was my job, video games were my escape, my main escape. Now movies have become that. It's my break. It's my everything. So that is definitely my favorite. And I would chew in my retro video game content where I go to yard sales and I pick up my collection that you guys see behind there. I really enjoy the high of that. The reason why I'm not going to put that one in front is because with collecting video games, it is very time consuming, and you do have to put in a lot of work and you have to deal with a lot of dummies, which can be, a pain in the ass. Buying things on, Facebook or Kijiji or Craigslist, it's just a fucking nightmare. If it wasn't for that would it. But the movie reviews is definitely it. In the perfect world, I've been doing this for a long time. We have been fortunate enough to have this be our main source of income since 2011, which is insane when you think about it. I mean, people have come and gone on YouTube, on Twitch. Everything. We've managed to weather the storm, and we've had our ups and downs. And when you really think about it, we're kind of in a down right now in terms of, revenue and things like that. But we're in an up in terms of content creation and the ability to grow and the excitement of where things are going. We're in the right direction for the first time in a long time. But my main dream would be that I could do this once or twice a week, do my movie reviews without worrying about how much money I'm losing out on streaming, because doing a movie review requires to go see the movie. You have to get the review out Friday because that's when people are, even preferably Thursday night, go see a late show and then get it out because that's when people are going to search for the reviews and that's when they get a lot of your views and your new subscribers and stuff. But to be able to do that content without worrying about taking a full day off and how much money you're going to lose out, a day of streaming can total a lot of money if you're just going to go make a YouTube video that's going to get 5,000 to 10,000 views and you'll make $10. I mean, it's just insane. But the dream would be to do this, to do my movie reviews once a week, maybe twice a week, and then stream, 30 to 40 hours and not have to worry about anything. That would be the ultimate dream. And all those sort of things change. I'm sure Adam feels the same way if he could do reviews and really get paid for it. You have support and people do enjoy it, but to really have that kind of take the forefront on things that you really enjoy doing. Now, I love streaming. I fucking love doing those things, but we've been doing them for a long time, and to be able to have the option to still support yourself, further yourself financially, but also do the content that you love, that would be the dream. That would be the dream. Cater to the fans and then cater to yourself would be the ultimate dream. And I think that this right here, Panic just got to go to the door. Someone's at his house.
I was gonna say is like Panic's ultimate dream right now is to go relieve himself in the washroom.
No, somebody said you ring the doorbell. But
okay.
that would be the dream. And Adam and I talked about it quite a few times. There's a lot of pressure with doing things the way that we do now, and I'm not complaining about it. I'm rewarded very, very greatly. But man, it would be nice for this to be something bigger than what it is now. And being able to do this a couple times a week would just be, it would be bliss.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Off topic, but absolutely, yeah. That would be that'd be ideal. I mean, I always wanted to be able to work in the game industry and make money doing it, and so that would be the way to go. You know, you like doing your reviews for movies. I like doing it for games, and live streaming is awesome because you get to spend time with the community and be not one-on-one, but you get to be more interacting with people on a daily basis, and
yeah, there's nothing like that. It's amazing. Yeah.
No, there's nothing like that. So it's awesome, and it would be incredible to be able to continue doing that. So yeah,
You know how that would be possible if everybody now went over to our Patreon account.
I was literally about to fucking segue that shit, and you stole it. You stole the segue.
Hey, let me own this, dude. I'm known as the sellout motherfucker. Let me own this bitch. All right,
okay, then take me home.
You're making us dirty.
You sneak in the shadows, bro, and you just reap the rewards, the benefits. All right, just let me take the bullet. I'll be that motherfucker that's selling out.
Go.
Head on over
Black guy
to our
dies
Patreon
first.
account because I want this to be a twice-a-week dream. And right now, at the money we're at, it's just not feasible. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not feasible. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But you know what we're getting really close to? That DLC hype. And for those that don't know, once we reach 350 Patreons or $3,500, we will release the scam that happened in LAGTV in our first year, where we lost $30,000, where we got scammed through Machinima and all that other stuff. It's already recorded. It's pre-recorded stuff because we're just that sellouty, and we're almost there. We are $88 away from the release. Adam is going to edit that shit up. And once we hit that, we're going to release that on iTunes. We're going to release that on YouTube and everywhere else that you guys can listen to this.
The dirty DLC.
Yeah. We're just trying to inch. We're trying to give you guys some incentives other than the swag that's coming. And I think people are going to be even more on board with all of this when they can see all the cool swag that we've ordered. Panic, you ordered all that stuff, right?
I ordered it. They have to act the order, but it should be about a week or two till it comes in.
There you go.
I have the picture of the proofs and everything if we want to show that somewhere.
Yeah, we can do that. We can show that. We can make a dedicated video, or we can even show it on the next podcast as well. Show off some of the swag. So yeah, if you guys are really enjoying the content, go and show some love. It can be even as small as $1. And trust me, when 1,000 people do $1, shit adds up real quick.
Jeff, I'm no mathematician, but that's like $800, right?
Maybe after Patreon takes their cut. Maybe after Patreon takes their cut. But yeah, that's the shameless plug. We're almost there. We're trying to reach these stretch goals. But hey, we're really thankful for what we have. There's not a lot of podcasts out there that can go from $0 to almost $3,500 on week 6 or 7 or whatever we're on. So that's just the LAGTV community showing the fuck up. And playing ball with us. So obviously we're dedicated, and hopefully you guys are on board with us as well. And if you can't, then listening to iTunes and doing that rating is a great way to support the stream for free. It is absolutely.
I want to drill this. I want to drill this home. Okay, I'm going to drill this. If for how many people are still have managed all the way through this podcast? You're like 3.5 hours deep, and you've just marathoned yourself into the ground. You tried to run this whole thing out. You just don't have the cardio for it anymore. Well, I got something else for you.
Guys told me it was only 2 hours.
Yeah.
I have to finish it now.
I want to frame, as always, when possible, how important those reviews are. So, in last week's podcast, over the course of time, we only had a handful of reviews, and we didn't have enough reviews to help us get into the top 10 lists. And so our growth for the first time in 6 weeks still went up, but it wasn't nearly as much as the weeks previous because we didn't break into those top 10 lists. Right now, we don't have the listenership in order to get us into the top 10 lists without having the reviews to add to the metrics that iTunes uses to populate those lists. And so if there are, right now, as it stands on iTunes, there are about 2,400 to 2,500 people that download this podcast. And we have 46 or 48 reviews or
What did we
something in
start
that
at?
neighborhood.
Like first and second week.
First week, like 800.
Yeah. So it's going up drastically.
So it's going up. When we hit those top 10 points, our growth was almost 200 viewers a day or listeners a day in between the main download days. So after the first 72 hours, everybody that's already subscribed to the podcast has gotten their feeds updated usually, and then anything after that is generally organic growth, and we were getting about 200 a day. With this, it's dropped out quite considerably. That's not to say that we absolutely, we don't want to beg for reviews, but they are at this point in the
I'm
podcast
begging.
life.
I'm begging.
All right, Jeff's begging.
This is
At
the
this
new
point in the
like and
podcast
favorite
life,
videos. This is
what we'll do it. It's not going to be YouTube. It's not going to be Twitch. On iTunes, it's 80% of the listenership for pretty much any given podcast. And so reviews right now, if you wanted to help support us and you're not able maybe to do anything on Patreon, I've had people come to my streams telling me I literally created an account and downloaded iTunes and loaded it up and wrote a review and gave it 5 stars, and I was hype as shit because that is dedication beyond words, and we don't necessarily need everybody to do that, but we would love it if you did, because it would go a long way in helping this podcast grow. And if you think that it's good enough for other people to listen to, then that's one way of helping us out. Do we have anything else to add, gentlemen? Have we finally hit the end of the road?
We've definitely hit the end of the road. I don't have anything more to add. It's a good podcast. It's really good.
This is the best podcast we've had yet.
I like it. Wouldn't have it any other way.
No, it was good. We just let that shit go. It is fire. So yeah, that's going to be it for this week, ladies and gentlemen, for Technical Alpha. Hopefully you enjoyed it, despite it running a little over. If you're on YouTube, please get in on the conversation. If you're watching this and we're talking about shows that we'd like to see turn into movies, or movies into shows, or any of these topics, let us know in the comments, because Jeff and I are reading all of them, and I love reading those comments.
Read them too.
I love that. PanicSwitched reading them too. We'd love to be able to interact there with that. So feel free to engage in the comments on YouTube. And for those of you listening out there as well, you can join the community on Patreon and let us know what you think there. All the same, because we'd love to hear from you guys. Interaction is what we're in this business for, other than putting bread in our mouths. So thank you once again for listening. And until next week, this has been the trio of gentlemen from Technical Alpha. We will see you guys in another 7 days.
Oh,
Peace.
Patreons.
Whoa,
Give them the shout outs. We
God.
got some ballers up in this bitch that are
damn it.
I know. I was getting there.
Hit
I was
them up with
getting
that
there.
page, man. Get some love.
I was getting
dude.
there. I wasn't going to forget. I was getting there.
We
Here
got
we
some
are.
hitters.
Here
With
we
the way
are.
you've been doing the
We
patch
do.
notes.
Hey, look, I'm not saying anything, but I might have been half asleep for this entire podcast. Technical Alpha is brought to you by our wonderful Patreon producers, of which we've added 2 this week. In the midst of that DLC, dirty DLC.
We got him.
We got him. We got Beastall Kid, Mr. Miyagi,
Yes.
Adam B,
Yes.
Toad of Steel, Naily, J.A., Derek P. One moment, please. Jonathan A., Fry C, Ice Wolf, Draco is one of the new ones, and Jamaican Jazz
Shout
is
outs
the
to
other new
mother
one. Shout outs.
Beastall and Miyagi. These guys are dropping
Locking it
some
down.
heaters. I can't wait until they get their all their
Oh, they're gonna
swag
love
that's
it.
coming
their
in.
swag.
I love it.
And shout outs to all of our Twitch subscribers. I don't know how many we're at right now, Adam. You want to?
We are at 110 because the Twitch Prime stuff rolled over.
Oh, rip. We're at more, but that's Twitch Prime. So shout outs to all those subs that are coming
love you
via via Twitch
Absolutely.
as well. So thank you, everybody.
All right.
That's it. That's the
Ladies
show.
and gentlemen, the sellout has ended for yet another week. We will see you guys next week for more assault and probably a few laughs as well. We'd like to keep it a little light around here every now and then. Until then, Peace.
Bye.